Chapter 672. Luo Qingshan suddenly turned around and looked at Lu Shifeng with a faint smile. She asked in a voice of disbelief, "Your secretary gave 30 points to dream building?" Why did she feel that it was strange? She felt that this man with a smile in front of her was unfathomable. Then his eyes aren't bad. Lu Shifeng nodded and signaled to her to stand. Su Nai on the stage said with an unconvinced look, "I don't believe that dream building has 32 points. If you have the skills, release the votes. Don't be anonymous." Her voice was very sharp, like she was complaining about injustice, and her fingers kept trembling. She had just acted arrogantly backstage. How could she let herself be at a disadvantage now? The previous shows have never released the votes. The host revealed an awkward smile, like he was trying to adjust the awkward atmosphere. Hee, Su Nai said with a cold snort. Then that means that Bai Sure can take first place with a fake. Is this fair? Which one of us didn't walk as well as her? Could she take first place with just those 5 sets of clothes? Su Nai's voice was very loud, and it penetrated her ears. With her words, several models were unconvinced as they began to mutter. I heard that the designer who gave Bai Sure this time was a trial designer who had just joined the Lu group. It seems like there's something fishy going on. Who knows? Perhaps it's related to a vulgar judge uncle. Then she has to be related to many people. So disgusting. Everyone's whispers made by Sure, unable to keep listening. She tightly bit her lip and said, Su Nai, you can't afford to lose? I can't afford to lose, Su Nai said with a cold smile. My designer isn't even qualified to carry my designer's shoes. What qualifications do you have to win? The scene was very awkward. The host wanted to say something, but Bai Sure had already charged forward and slapped Su Nai without any warning. You can humiliate me, but you're not qualified to humiliate my designer. You actually dare hit me. Su Nai's face turned red, and she raised her hand to fight back. Lu Shifeng's voice slowly sounded as he said in a magnetic voice through the microphone, "Open the vote." The reason why he spoke was because his fiancée was already prepared to rush down. Why are you grabbing me? Luo Qingshan felt his hand on her waist tighten, completely imprisoning her. With me here, you don't need to do this kind of thing. Lu Shifeng's dark eyes sunk as his lips curled into a faint smile. In the next second, the votes on the big screen were directly displayed. The 32 points given to the Dream Team came from Lu Shifeng's 30 points, Lin Xing's 1 point, and Wen Yukai's 1 point. Tisk. Everyone was in an uproar. In that instant, Su Nai was stunned. Lu Shifeng had given all 30 points to the Dream Team. It was no wonder they won. As for the ones who voted for Bai Mei, team leader Wang wasn't even among them. It seems like the Dream Team show is deeply loved by our director Lu. The host immediately adjusted the atmosphere and announced, "Then let's congratulate the Dream Team for winning this winter show. We'll give the stage to them." The follower beside, Su Nai gave a soft snort. "Big sister Nai, don't be angry. I've already talked to the 2 brands in charge of the auction. You'll definitely get your face back." Chapter 673. The hostess placed the trophy in Bai Sure's hands. She looked around, but she didn't see Luo Qingshan anywhere. Congratulations to the Dream Team for winning this year's winter show. The host gave a microphone to Bai Sure and said, "Next, let's invite our main model to give her acceptance speech." Bai Sure took the microphone with a bit of shyness and took a deep breath, trying to control her emotions as she said, "I always felt that it was impossible for me to stand here and receive this award. But if I said that I never expected it, it would be impossible." Wang Zhe, standing behind the curtain, narrowed his eyes as he looked at Bai Sure in front of him. His right hand slightly clenched as his eyes filled with unwillingness. Just a bit more, and this honor would have belonged to him. He had spent all this time, but it had been strangely missed by this person. Based on what? Finally, I want to thank my designer, although she didn't come because she valued her lover more than her friends. Bai Sure slowly raised the trophy as tears came from the corner of her eyes. She said in a strong voice, "Thank you for giving me a new life." Applause came from the crowd. Bai Shi's tears fell as she revealed a happy smile. It's really touching. I've also received news that the designer who designed the Where Dreams Begin theme for our champion team is a very young and beautiful lady. The new generation really surpasses the old generation. Pa, 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 pa. There was another round of warm applause. The host continued, then we'll enter the most exciting part of the auction. There are a total of 30 large brands that have come to our winter show today. Speaking of winners, the team that has been auctioned off today is the real winner. Humph. Sunai gave a cold snort on the side. This host is only pleasing to the ears when he says this. Luo Qingshun looked at the large brands on the stage, and it really was a large brand. If it wasn't someone with power, it was impossible for them to do this. Luo Qingshun looked over to see Lu Shifeng holding his cheek with one hand while tightly holding her hand. There was a smile that others couldn't understand on his lips. Miss Fiancé, his black pupils slightly moved as he said, "If you look at me like this, I will feel embarrassed." PFFF. Luo Qingshun pursed her lips and chuckled. This? I really didn't see you being embarrassed at all. Yes. He slowly tightened his grip on her hand and said, "When we were on the cruise ship." The next second, Luo Qingshun blushed and hurriedly looked away. Look, the auction is about to start. This set, Where Dreams Begin, designed by Yu Yu's team, will now be auctioned. The host raised his hand and said, "Dim light." Yu Yu is also a design team with a bold style. Their previous ranking was very high. Excited voices rang out slowly. Coupled with the dimming of the lights in the venue, the atmosphere became especially tense. Time's up. The host raised his hand and said, "Please bid." The long silence caused the atmosphere to become awkward. Even after 10 seconds of bidding had passed, no one called out a price. It seems that our team Yu Yu's design may not be biased towards practicality. The experienced host naturally knew what to say to ease the awkward situation. Chapter 674. All right, then let's move on to the set of clothes designed by the 100 Charm team. Their main model just gave their set of clothes a dreamy name. It's called the Dream Wedding Dress. The host rolled his eyes and said in an unhappy voice, "Please turn off the lights." The exciting music sounded again. Time's up. The host raised his hand and said, "Please make a bid." Sunai confidently curled her lips and looked at Bai Shi to the side in disdain. "I'll let you see what is called clothes and what is called a market." Do you want to make an event for the animation club with your design? A certain famous brand director raised a sign and said, 10,000. When the word 10,000 was said, Sunai's expression changed and she revealed a look of disdain. All right, now it's 10,000. The host continued to promote. Was there anyone with a higher price? 11,000. A certain famous brand director called out a price. Sunai's face under the stage turned dark, and she said through gritted teeth, "I thought that famous brands were all rich people, but they're actually so stingy." Bai Shi instantly revealed a very happy look, and Sunai refuted. "What are you happy for? Can you even have 10? So what if I don't?" Bai Shi waved the trophy in her hand and said, "The prize money is enough for us to squander." She wasn't born to be bullied by Sunai. Now that she had taken first place, why did she have to be scolded by her? "You." Sunai raised her middle finger and angrily said, "Just you wait. Is there anyone higher than 11,000? The host said with a smile, "There's still 3 seconds. The crowd was silent, and there was no one calling out a price. The director who called out 10,000 relaxed his expression as if he was saying, "It's a good thing there's an idiot bidding." Sold for 11,000. The host said, "Congratulations to our W brand for winning the 100 Charm team's dream wedding dress at the price of 11,000. Congratulations, congratulations." Then let's bid for the set of clothes from the Maryland team, the bold and stylish clothes. After a while, the host raised his hand and said, "Please make a bid." D-da, 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 D-da. Time passed minute by minute and second by second. Wang Zhe stood behind the curtain, watching this awkward scene as he tightly clenched his fists. The design that he was proud of in his life was insulted like this. Why was he the only one who was humiliated? Why was it that a random newcomer could step on his throne and rise to the top? He couldn't accept it. He really couldn't accept it. 10 seconds later, time was up. However, none of the brands at the scene bid for it, which proved that this piece of clothing would never appear on the streets or in the crowd. Although it's a pity, I still have to say it. The host comforted her. Marilyn's team's design is really bold, but it might not be suitable for the public's taste. After all, people like to wear clothes on their bodies and not put them in the window. Luna stomped her feet angrily and muttered, "Although I like Wang Zhe very much, I can't deny that he is indeed a trash designer." Marilyn's team had always been the best in Group A on the 15th floor. This time, it was all because of the designer's fault. Wang Zhe was indeed a hot potato. Whoever touched him would be unlucky. "You speak as if you're so good." Bai Sure bit her lips and softly muttered. Luna was immersed in her own world and didn't hear what Bai Sure said. But in Bai Sure's eyes, even if Wang Zhe wasn't her designer, he was still very outstanding. Chapter 675. The following sets weren't as good. Either there was no one bidding or it was between 10,000 and 100,000. There were a few sets that were more dazzling that were sold for 300 to 500,000, creating a stir in the crowd. And as the champion, the famous team was the last to bid for the final item. Luo Qingshan was a bit nervous sitting in the VIP seats on the second floor, since this was the first time this set entered the market. If no one bid, it would be very awkward. If Lu Shifeng really bid for her, it would be very strange. No, she had to think of a way out. System. Can you lend me some money? The host can exchange for it. Why give it away? Because I'm poor. Look at how long I've been doing missions. I only have a few exchange points. I can't even exchange for an exquisite ring. This is a matter of principle. The system won't lend it. The system coldly rejected her suggestion. After all, it was hard to return money in this world. Trash system. Luo Qingshan silently rolled her eyes at the system before taking out her cell phone and sending a text to Luo Qiemo. "Big brother, lend me some money." Luo Qingshan, ding dong. Luo Qiemo instantly replied to her message. "That's right. You didn't have a bank card before. I'll have the driver send it to you. Where are you?" Luo Qiemo, "Sividi, I like this kind of big brother who can ask for money the most. Have him wait for me in the East Emperor Road parking lot." Luo Qingshan, "Prepare the money. Now we're just waiting for the auction." She didn't know that when she was texting Luo Qiemo, Lu Shifeng on the side had secretly taken a look. His eyes narrowed as they lit up. All right, next we'll enter today's final segment. The host spread out the 5 sets of clothes of the Dream Team on the stage. This set of clothes mainly from the two-dimensional world. We don't know how many people will be interested in it. The auction will begin in 10 seconds. 109876543210. Time is up. Please make your bids. 100,000. The brand director who said 10,000 just now was the first to raise his paddle. Then there was a burst of sighs at the scene. Sunai's eyes opened wide in disbelief, and even Bai Sure on the side was so shocked that she couldn't say a word. This stingy person in Sunai's eyes had decisively raised the price of the Dream Team's clothes. This was simply shocking. He picked up the microphone beside him and said, "I'm a person who's super obsessed with the two-dimensional world. I feel that everything in the two-dimensional world is where my dreams begin. That's why I'm offering this price. I hope that all of you will be magnanimous." A certain brand merchant sitting behind him said, "This set won't do. I'm determined to get it. Then we'll wait and see." He put down the microphone with a calm look on his face. After all, his company's brand was one of the top brands in City A and even in the world. It wasn't difficult to spend hundreds of thousands or even millions to bid for a set of clothes. As expected of the champion's uniform. This is just the beginning, but I can already smell the smell of gunpowder. The host laughed and said, "I wonder who will get this set of clothes from the second dimension in the end. 100,000 going once. 150,000. The brand merchant in the back raised his paddle and easily added 50,000. The female director sitting on the far right also raised her paddle and said, 300,000. See, the crowd fell into an uproar again. Chapter 676. Bai Sure was also very surprised. 300,000. According to the division of the design team, they were simply rich. No, it was Qingshan who became rich. I don't know why. but I felt that this set of clothes gave me a feeling at first glance. The female director picked up the microphone and said in a critical voice, "I feel that it is a kind of ignorant love." As soon as her voice fell, Luo Qingshan felt her face unknowingly turn red. She looked at Lu Shifeng beside her with her sunglasses. He was the same as before, with a faint smile and bottomless eyes. She quickly looked away as she thought. She couldn't let him know that this design was made by her. Otherwise, he would be able to see the meaning behind it with a single glance. Yeah, she felt a bit embarrassed. 300,000, 300,000. This number even makes me a bit excited as the host. The host looked at the seats and said, 300,000 going once, 350,000, 400,000, 500,000. Wah! Everyone had looks of disbelief as they looked at the 5 sets of clothes on the stage. The sounds of discussion filled the air with praise and criticism. What is this situation? Dream Team is a dark horse this time. I don't like these two-dimensional clothes. I feel that they are too fake and not real enough. I thought that she had taken the back door to win the championship, but when Director Lu's 30 points came out, I knew that it wasn't. That's right. If she could take the back door with Director Lu, why would she need to participate in a fashion show? But what is going on with the auction? The price really is high. Luo Qingshan naturally couldn't hear these whispers, but Su Nai, by sure, and the other main models could clearly hear them. Did you hear that? There are people who don't like your designs. Too fake, too fake, too fake, do you know that? It was like Su Nai had found a life-saving straw as she desperately said these 2 words. Bai Sure gave a cold laugh and rolled her eyes at her. Can't you see the difference between 10,000 and 500,000? Without knowing why, Bai Sure had found her own aura in this fashion show. Although she looked weak on the surface, her heart couldn't be weak. She wanted to be strong and overcome herself. Just like what Luo Qingshan said, she was a model, and a model was a walking hanger. Without confidence, there would be nothing. Su Nai wanted to make a move, but she held back in front of everyone. She could only say in a strange voice, "It's like no one has ever bid 500,000 before. Su Nai's highest record in the past was 1 million. Trash. You're so happy over a mere 500,000? How much trash were you in the past?" Hearing this, Bai Sure was a little angry. She only curled her lips and did not respond. After all, this was indeed her first time participating in such an auction. Little did he know that in the next second, the voice on the auction stage sounded, 1 million. The surrounding air seemed to have frozen, and Bai Sure chuckled. How does it feel to be slapped in the face in 1 second? The one who bid 1 million was the female director. She raised her paddle confidently, with a sense of responsibility. When Luo Qingshan, who was sitting in the VIP seat, heard the word 1 million, she immediately took out her mobile phone and sent a message to Luo Chimo. "Big brother, you don't need to give me a card. I have money, I have money, I have money." Luo Qingshan, ding dong, a message sound rang out. Chapter 677. Busy person, do you like this set of clothes? Lu Shifeng looked at her with a mysterious smile on his lips and a faint glow in his dark eyes. Lu Qingshan quickly put away her phone and said with a smile, "It feels not bad." Please, the clothes she designed, could be she had to say that it was very good? Of course, she couldn't say that it was very ugly. Lu Shifeng gave a thoughtful nod. I also feel that it's very good. Without knowing why, when these words came from his mouth, there was a very satisfied feeling in her heart. The competition on the stage was very fierce. Although there were only 3 people bidding in the end, they didn't have any intention of giving up. Without knowing it, the price had reached 3 million. This bidding price was already very high in the fashion show, or it could be said that it had already broken the highest bidding price in the Lu Group's fashion shows over the years. Su Nai was so angry that she couldn't speak, but Bai Sure was worried. The higher the price, the greater the pressure on the market. If the market for this set of clothes wasn't good, the brand of this set of clothes would suffer a loss because of this. Like this, as the Dream Team, there would be a stain on their reputation. The final 5 million was won by our Princess Director Missy. It seems like she really likes this set of clothes. The host raised his hand and said, 5 million going once. Then I'll interrupt you. The female director surnamed Yi waved her sign and said, I really like this forest girl set of clothes. If possible, I hope that I can win this set of clothes in the end. I want to see the designer. When Wang Zhe heard this, he broke down completely. He looked at the 5 million on the screen, and his eyes turned dark. He had been so close to success, but now he was giving up this chance to someone else. It really was. All right. I think that since you've won this set of clothes at such a high price, she will be very happy to see you. The host looked at the screen and said, 5 million going twice. 5,200,000. The female director waved her sign and said with a smile, I feel that I should put a full stop to this ignorant love. I like this number. Pa pa, pa pa. There was a round of applause, as if the auction was about to end. God, 5,200,000 for 5 sets of clothes. This is simply amazing. Who is this designer? She really is this powerful. Who knows who it is? She must have become famous overnight. Envy. Ha ha, the host said with 2 laughs. This is a very good number. Then we'll begin the countdown. 5,200,000 going once. 5,200,000 going twice. Just when everyone thought that the female director had already bought this set of Mori new clothing at a high price of 2 million yuan, the female director suddenly changed her mind. The bidding price on the big screen changed again. 52 million, everyone's name. Chapter 678. Sunai, standing on the side, saw this number, and her eyes rolled back as she fainted. Even Bai Shi couldn't stand still at this time, as she narrowed her eyes to look at the zeros on the screen. 52 million, that's right. 52 million. 2 million. The host looked at the screen in disbelief as he said, Is there a mistake, or... There was a voice that came from the backstage, telling the host that the number was correct and telling the bidder that they could continue. Cool. The host cleared his throat and said, Everyone doesn't need to doubt it. There's indeed someone who has used 52 million to buy this collection. Everyone must be very curious about who this person is, right? Everyone in the auction area looked at each other in shock. They looked at each other and looked at each other. Everyone's expression was one of confusion as they shook their heads. A sky-high price of 52 million wouldn't even reach this price at the Milan Fashion Week. This price was so high that it broke through the sky. In the eyes of marketing, using this price to buy 5 sets was definitely a loss. All right, the person who used this sky-high price to buy this set of clothes is our Lu Group's chairman, Mr. Lu Shifeng. The host turned to the VIP seats on the second floor, and the light shined right at Lu Shifeng. His eyes lit up as they fell onto Luo Qingshan beside him. He saw her softly biting her lip with a dazed look. Her heart was like a turbulent sea, and wave after wave hit her innermost being. He actually bought this set of clothes. Moreover, it was this sky-high price. Could it be that he knew? Luo Qingshan's 150 IQ brain quickly turned. If all her previous doubts were placed in a circle, then the 52 million yuan would be the key. Lu Shifeng knew that she entered the Lu Group and knew that she was the designer of this set of clothes. Damn. The Black Belly chairman's thoughts. You can't guess them at all. It seems like Chairman Lu wants to borrow flowers to present Buddha. The host revealed a teasing smile, successfully raising the atmosphere of the crowd. My fiancé likes it. He casually said these few words into the microphone, but it filled the crowd with excitement. After that, Luo Qingshan quickly put on her sunglasses and wrapped her scarf a few more times, burying her face in her clothes. The gossip of the crowd passed through her defenses and entered her ears. My God, when did Chairman Lu have a girlfriend? No, you didn't hear it clearly. It's not a girlfriend, it's a fiancé, all right? I don't believe it. It's said that he is an ascetic male god. Even his secretary, he rarely comes into contact with girls. I want to cry. Isn't the #1 male god that the Lu Group? I came to the Lu clan precisely because of him. Lu Shi's Lu. Lu Shifeng. Lu Shifeng. S. Lu Shifeng, didn't know how domineering his actions and words were at this moment. He bought this set of clothes for a sky-high price because he didn't want her design to fall into anyone else's hands. Chapter 679. Friends, please calm your excited hearts first. The host professionally raised his hand and said, "The auction will continue." Now the Dream Place, created by the Dream Team, has entered the first 10-second countdown with a price of $52 million. In fact, everyone knew that this was a meaningless countdown because no one would be able to pay a higher price for this set. $52 million going twice. 5,000. Ding! The number on the screen changed again. 52013140. Lu Shifeng. Luo Qingshun turned over as a faint mist appeared in her eyes. Seeing this scene, the supporters seemed to be unable to control her emotions. She said excitedly with a smile, "My young girl's heart. President Lu is so handsome. He's a complete wife-doting maniac." In the end, the Dream Team's winter show didn't just take first place. It even went for a sky-high price of 52013140. In Lu Shifeng's luxurious Benz, Luo Qingshun slowly took off her sunglasses as she looked at him and said, "When did you find out?" "Very early." Lu Shifeng's eyes were as black as water as he spoke in a gentle voice. "Then why didn't you say anything?" Luo Qingshun pursed her lips and pretended to be angry. "My fiancé wants to test me, so naturally I'm very happy." His magnetic voice had a trace of pampering in it as he said, "After all, I also want to see her every day." The little words of love were on. "Pooh." She touched her slightly red ears and said, "Even if it's like this, you don't need 50 million to buy it. It's too exaggerated." She couldn't imagine what kind of gazes everyone would use to look at her when she returned to the office. To be honest, she didn't need to go to work at all. She could just lie on this money for a lifetime. It's hard to buy love with money. Lu Shifeng stopped the car in front of her house and said, "Miss Fiancé designed this set of clothes for me. How could I give it to someone else?" Ding! Affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 60%. The next second, her heart skipped a beat. She said in a fluster, she originally thought that no one would be able to see through her thoughts, but she never thought that the person involved would be able to see through her thoughts so easily. Silly. He gently pinched her little nose and said, "Since the establishment of the Lu Group, there have been countless shows. Every great designer would express all their emotions in their series. But what I didn't expect was..." "What?" She touched her little nose and looked at him with her big black eyes that were as clear as water. "You actually know how to design clothes." Lu Shifeng looked in her eyes and felt a faint throbbing in his heart. This feeling was very familiar. It was exactly the same as when they met on the cruise that day. She blinked her eyes and said, "I know a lot. You'll know in the future." "Really?" Lu Shifeng's lips curled into a pampering smile as he looked at her and said, "Then it seems like our engagement will be brought forward." "No. How about we directly get married?" Luo Qingshun was stunned. She never thought that this kind of half-cold and half-black-bellied person like Lu Shifeng would say something like this. She was stunned before her long lashes trembled as she said, "You aren't joking, right?" Chapter 680. Luo Qingshun was stunned as her eyes opened wide as she looked at Lu Shifeng beside her. She never thought that these words would come from his mouth. Completely stunned. Lu Shifeng's eyes looked very serious, not looking like he was joking at all. "You don't want to steal it?" His dark eyes gradually dimmed, and his voice became a bit aggrieved. "Stop," Luo Qingshun said in a daze. "You really are Lu Shifeng." Otherwise, he seemed to recall something as he said, "The first time we met, there was a drugged girl who charged into my room and threw herself at me." "Stop, stop, stop." Luo Qingshun covered his mouth and said with a serious nod, I'll steal, all right? Can everyone be a bit more sincere and less scheming?" If she didn't have an IQ of 150, she wouldn't even know that she had sold herself and would be happily counting money for others. At least now she knew that she had been sold. So black-bellied. "All right." Lu Shifeng gently helped her unbuckle her seatbelt before opening the car door. Miss Fiancé, I'll see you at the city hall tomorrow. Tomorrow. See you tomorrow. She waved her hand, as if she was still in a daze from being sold. Lu Shifeng didn't forget to remind her, you don't need to borrow money from your big brother. $9.90. I'll treat you. Pung. She pursed her lips, and seeing his faint smile, she slammed the car door with a shy and angry look. This season's winter show, to her, it was like being held in the palm of his hand. It was very light and warm. The next morning, when she walked through the door of the company, she received gazes from everyone. When she walked into the elevator, she felt hostility and disdain all around her. Ignoring it, she slightly knit her brows and quickly headed to the office. When she came in, sure charged over. She had a photo on her phone as she looked at her and said, someone took a photo of you and said that you got into a luxury car. He even said that we didn't get first place with our strength, but with our connections. Yesterday, after the winter fashion show ended, Sure immediately sent a message to Luo Qingchen, who valued love over friendship. He knew that she had a date, so he didn't dare to disturb her. He didn't expect this to happen today. Luo Qingchen frowned and took the photos. The photo was very blurry. She could only see her face and not the other party's face. The luxurious car was also very blurry. The person who was secretly taking photos probably took out his phone in an instant and pressed the shutter. It's okay. What can this kind of photo prove? Luo Qingchen waved her hand and said, could it be that they are jealous of someone who is rich? That's true. Bai Sure said with some annoyance. It's all because our previous results were too bad. This time, a dark horse suddenly appeared. Many people must be very unconvinced, so they naturally believe this kind of false rumor. At the same time, in the Bai Mei team's office, Big Sister Nai, my photo isn't bad, right? Xiao Mei's eyes narrowed as she said, although I didn't see who that man was, this is clearly a luxury car. Coming to the Lu Group to be a designer with such a rich boyfriend, isn't it to become famous? Chapter 681. In the cafeteria at noon, Luo Qingchen's group received everyone's gazes when they entered the cafeteria, and they were all looking at them with looks of disdain. Bai Sure said to her in a soft voice, you and Mo, go find a seat first. Xiao, and I will go get some food. She softly replied. There weren't many seats in the cafeteria, and there were only 2 or 3 seats left. The moment Luo Qingchen sat down, the people beside her stood up and went to another place. The surrounding whispers were like fine needles that entered her ears. Did you hear? The designer of this winter show didn't win first place with his own strength. What is that? I heard it was a high score. Who knows? The 30 points came from Director Lu, but everyone knows that Director Lu has never participated in the scoring before. Damn! I also feel the same now that you mention it. Could it be Director Lu's secretary? Who knows? Anyway, it's disgusting. Selling her body and being so low class. Pung. Mo took out something from her bag and threw it in the direction of the person who said the last sentence. She angrily said, do you have nothing better to do? Did your parents raise you to have such a cheap mouth? Sunai looked at Xiao Mei, and Xiao Mei immediately curled her lips as she said, what? Are you angry from embarrassment? Do I need to be angry from embarrassment at Sunai's dog? Mo looked at Sunai in disdain before her eyes finally fell onto Xiao Mei. What did you say? Xiao Mei's face instantly turned red. She had always been Sunai's follower, but suddenly being called a dog, her face instantly fell. When the surrounding people heard Mo say this, they even began to laugh. Did I not make it clear enough? Mo's cold eyes looked up as she said, a strange photo, and you're making up all kinds of false news. Why isn't a design fee of 10,000 enough for you to live? Yo, isn't this a Mo? Sunai looked at Xiao Mei in dissatisfaction. She personally stepped forward and said in a voice filled with ridicule, the person involved hasn't said anything yet. Why are you so excited? What does it have to do with you whether she's excited or not? Luo Qingchen's eyes were as calm as water, and her voice was incomparably calm. It was as if he was talking about an insignificant matter, without the slightest trace of emotion. She was very clear on what kind of person Sunai was, this kind of person loves to clash with you the most. The more indifferent you are, the angrier she gets. It was like a small volcano that could not erupt at all. Yo, yo, yo. The main character has finally spoken. Sunai looked at the words on the note in her hand and said, "Everyone here can listen and see if there is anything fishy about this so-called trial designer." Luo Qingxin yawned. She crossed her arms over her chest and leaned against the chair indifferently. She chuckled and said, "Please start your performance." Sunai tightly bit her lip and suppressed the anger in her heart as she said, "The people here are either models or people around the models. There are some designers, some makeup artists, and others. Everyone should know that we need to accumulate experience in this industry. We can't reach the heavens with a single step." "Yes, yes." Everyone nodded. Sunai seemed to have found her confidence as she continued. The Lu Group is the largest modeling company in the world. Since its establishment, I have never seen a designer who has just entered the company win the championship. This is enough to prove that there is a problem with this championship. Chapter 682. Sunai's expression changed, and the veins on her neck popped out. She continued to hold it in as she said, "All right, even if you're a genius, the price of all the clothes in the winter show will be split evenly between the designer and the official. Tell me, you already have 20 million, so why do you still want to stay in the Lu Group as a designer?" Zez. Everyone gave a sigh of surprise. Sunai's words were very persuasive. Each word was filled with power. These few sentences seemed to have been prearranged, and the relationship between cause and effect was handled much better than the previous sentence. She confidently curled her lips and said, "What? You can't say it." "Big Sister Nai, you've guessed her thoughts?" And she's panicking. Xiao Mei's lips curled as she said in a voice filled with disdain, "Big Sister Nai, you should tell us the answer and let us hear it. There's a terrifying conspiracy behind this." "All right, then I'll say it." Sunai licked her red lips and said, "She's clearly doing this for the sake of promotion." "What nonsense are you saying?" Bai Sure pushed her and said, "You think that everyone's mind is as dirty as yours. Everyone knows who's dirty." Sunai looked at Luo Qingxian in disdain and said, "There are only a few people you want to hook up with in the Lu Group, but I think that with your scheming, the one you want to hook up with the most should be Director Lu." Hiss! The whispers sounded again, and this time it was even worse than the last time. I thought it was a misunderstanding at first, but now that Sunai has analyzed it, I feel like it's true. It's half true and half false. After all, she isn't the only one who admires Director Lu in the company. But her methods are good. This is a classic case of a poor designer ascending to the top. Ha, you're right. Luo Qingxian naturally knew that normal people wouldn't say this. It could only be Sunai's friend who deliberately came forward. After that, her eyes narrowed as she looked at Sunai and said, "So what if it's true?" Her voice was very soft and as indifferent as water, not revealing a trace of impatience at all. This attitude made the little volcano in Sunai's heart rise another level. She couldn't help exploding as she said, Look, quickly look, she admitted it. So what if I admit it?" She narrowed her eyes and chuckled. "Like I said before, what does it have to do with you? Let me tell you, a poor and trashy designer, you wouldn't be dreaming of marrying into a rich family, right?" Sunai shook her head with a look of disdain as she said, "I'm afraid you don't know since you weren't there yesterday. The reason why your design can be bought for more than 50 million is not because of how good your design is, but because Boss Lu's fiancé likes it. Do you understand? A trashy team that relied on underhanded methods to win first place. How could they compare to such an excellent team like theirs?" What a joke. Sunai's face was completely red at this moment. She said this in a single breath, not pausing at all. Luo Qingxian smiled and was about to say something when there was a commotion at the entrance of the cafeteria. Lu Shifeng was wearing a dark blue suit with the domineering look of a CEO, walking towards her step by step against the light. Chapter 683. In just an instant, all the voices in the area disappeared. It disappeared in his incomparably strong aura and his magnetic voice. He was against the light, walking towards her step by step. His lips curled into a faint smile as he became the center of attention. Luo Qingshun was frozen in place. She watched him raise his warm hand and softly tap her head as he said, "What are you in a daze for? Let's go." As soon as his voice fell, he softly took her hand, completely ignoring the gazes of everyone around them. "You." Sunai's face didn't have a trace of blood as she squeezed out a few words from her throat. "You are. How is this possible?" How could Director Liu Shifeng recognize her and call her his fiancée? Xiao Mei, who had spoken in an imposing manner, slowly moved back, lowering her head as much as possible, not wanting Liu Shifeng to see her. "Director Liu, this is—" One of the onlookers bravely asked a question in a gossipy mood. Liu Shifeng looked up with a faint smile on his lips. He looked at Luo Qingshun beside him and said, "My fiancée." After that, he didn't forget to add, "But she'll be a married wife soon." Bai Shishir looked at Luo Qingshun like she suddenly realized something and said, You, God. Sure. Luo Qingshun was a bit embarrassed, but her heart was filled with satisfaction as she touched her ear and said, "Listen to my explanation." "No need to explain." Bai Shishir seriously rejected her before turning to Sunai on the side and saying, "Isn't it a reversal? Isn't it very shocking? Isn't it very exciting?" Sunai worked hard to control her breathing as she said in a trembling voice, This was all Xiao Mei's idea. God, big sister Nai, you're burning the bridge after crossing the river." Xiao Mei kept lowering her head as she said while biting her lip, "Doesn't our entire group listen to you, Sunai?" Ha. Bai Shishir saw Sunai and Xiao Mei arguing and couldn't help laughing. "This must be the most exciting scene I've seen this year." "Shut up for me," Sunai said through gritted teeth. "What does it matter to you?" Bai Shishir blinked her eyes and said, "My house is by the sea. That's quite a big deal. Director Liu will decide who is right and who is wrong." "What are you talking about here?" Sunai looked over at Liu Shifeng and said, "Director Liu, because I didn't know that young Miss Luo was your fiancée, I thought that the new designer must have taken the back door to have such good results." Liu Shifeng gave a thoughtful nod. "What you say does make a bit of sense." Sunai heard this, and her expression softened a bit as she said, "I wanted to be fair, so naturally I would speak out and let everyone discuss this. After all, the Liu Group is the largest model company." Luo Qingshun looked at Liu Shifeng beside her and knew that he definitely had something to say. That Sunai thought that she had won his understanding. She was really too naive. "Are you done?" He looked at Sunai. Sunai was stunned and a bit nervous. This was her first time seeing Liu Shifeng look at her this directly. I'm done, Director Liu." Chapter 684. Liu Shifeng's voice had a faint chill to it. Although it wasn't loud, it made people tremble. "Director Liu." Xiao Mei suddenly came out and said through gritted teeth, "We just love to gossip. We don't have any ill intentions." Right. Sunai said, "Director Liu, isn't this a bit unfair? After all, she had been with the Liu Group for all these years. How could it end like this?" This industry wasn't like other industries. Models that were fired had a 90% chance of being banned from the modeling industry. Liu Shifeng's simple decision was to make it impossible for them to stay in this industry. So what if it's unfair? So what if he goes through the back door? Liu Shifeng gave a cold laugh as he said in an incomparably cold voice, "If my fiancée is happy, anything is fine." See, the crowd was filled with sighs. They had heard that the Liu Group's director Liu was gay and didn't like women. Now it seemed like he just didn't like a woman. So envious. If I had this kind of fiancée, I would allow myself to have a short life of 10 years. It's impossible to have a short life of 300 years, all right? The story of Cinderella and the prince. Liu Shifeng cleared his throat and said, "That story of Cinderella and the prince, I want to correct it." The crowd shyly lowered their heads, and their faces turned red in embarrassment. Sunai's face was already red with anger, but when a certain person mentioned Cinderella, there was a small part of her heart that was filled with pride. Her family background was considered quite good, so naturally, she had a sense of superiority and became the leader of her group. Now this so-called fiancé standing in front of Liu Shifeng. Even if Director Lu liked her, she was still Cinderella. In this world, things like status would never change. Cinderella becoming the top was an inspiring example. But everyone would remember that she was Cinderella in the beginning. If the only young miss of a city's Luo family is Cinderella, then there is no one in this world that is a princess. Lu Shifeng looked at her with an incomparably pampering gaze before continuing. Although she will always be a princess in my eyes. Director Lu slapped people in the face and didn't forget to throw out dog food. The crowd, don't eat it, all right? Luo family, my God, the rich circle. Hey, this Sunai is used to being arrogant. I've finally hit a wall this time, and I don't think I'll be able to turn things around. The voices of the onlookers filled the air. At this moment, all the public opinion was one-sided. After all, the marriage between the rich and powerful families was something that many people could only hope for. Dong. After that, Sunai's legs turned soft, and she sat down. The Luo family. How could she not know the status of the Luo family in City A? It was rumored that the daughter of the Luo family was a fool who never left the house. However, there were still many handsome guys who kept trying to get close to her. This was because this family was very powerful. Even if she didn't offend Lu Shifeng's fiancé this time, it was just Luo Qingchen from the Luo family. She couldn't even survive in City A anymore. Lu Shifeng narrowed his cold eyes and looked at his watch as he said, "The registration office should be open now. Young Miss Fiancé, can we go get our marriage certificate now?" Luo Qingchen always felt that at this moment his body was glowing. Moreover, it was a dazzling glow. After that, she said with a faint smile, "I've already stolen the household register. Let's go, Mr. Fiancé." Chapter 685. Inside the certification office, in front of the red cloth. White shirt and a faint smile. Katja. There was a clear sound as her heart skipped a beat. Ding. Affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 80%. All right. The photographer came forward with a smile. The two of you are the most beautiful couple I've ever seen in all my years of photography. Luo Qingchen was a bit surprised as her face couldn't help turning red. Thank you, Lu Shifeng said with a soft laugh. My wife brought out the beauty of our family. Ah, Luo Qingchen's eyes trembled as her heart skipped a beat. Because of the beauty, or because of the word wife, if possible, can I help you pay for the $9.99 for your wedding? The photographer looked at them with a bit of embarrassment. Can I keep a picture of you? People always appreciated beautiful things. The simple and honest photographer wanted to collect the world's most beautiful ID photo. Sorry, Lu Shifeng decisively rejected. I promised my wife that I would treat her this time. There were two thin red books, but there was a heavy feeling in her hands. When they came out of the certification office, the sun was shining brightly. When it shined down on her body, it gave her a very warm feeling. But after that, there was a text from Luo Qimo that broke half of her good mood. There are some people who really wouldn't leave. Sister, come back quickly. Wang Ziheng is going to cry and hang himself in our house. Luo Qimo, ku. Luo Qingchen's mind turned as she looked at Lu Shifeng, who had just gotten his marriage certificate. Call me husband. His eyes lit up, knowing that she was conflicted about what to call him. When she called him Director Lu before, although he wasn't willing, he couldn't force it since they weren't engaged yet. But it was different now. With this in hand, he had the world. There was no one who could stop him. He could become a wife-pampering demon. Pooh, Lord Husband. Luo Qingchen pursed her lips and said, Come home with me. My wife is inviting me home right after we got our marriage certificate. I can probably guess what's going on. He narrowed his eyes, and there was a faint liguang in his eyes. But is it really okay to do at your house? What the hell? Luo Qingchen lowered her head and touched her burning ears. Oh, it's different from what you think. Although she didn't know why Wang Ziheng suddenly appeared in their house, the appearance of such a person was definitely not a good thing. In a Luo family's villa. Uncle, you know it too. Qingchen and I are truly in love. Wang Ziheng took out a box of love letters and said, She wrote these to me. Luo Lin frowned and glanced at the love letter. It was indeed his daughter's handwriting. The words on the love letter were very typical, and normal people wouldn't be able to write it. Luo Lin gave 2 coughs and said, "But Qingchen has already told me that she wants to cancel her engagement with you. I heard that you reached an agreement at the banquet in Venice." He didn't go to that banquet. Rather, he sent his daughter and son. However, Wang Zihang's words at the banquet had also reached his ears without missing a single word. Naturally, it was impossible for the cooperation to continue, and his engagement with Qingchen would definitely be canceled. But this person had strangely appeared and said that Qingchen loved him deeply. Just what was going on? Chapter 686. Wang Zihang was in a bad mood a few days ago, so he took Guyaru to the casino to gamble. He never thought that he would lose all his money in a single night and owe over 30 million. He didn't dare tell his father about this, but after thinking about it, he thought of his silly fiancée. He made a small conclusion, thinking that what Luo Qingchen said at the banquet in Venice that day must be an act. Because after that, he went to all the large and small banquets in the circle, but he didn't see Luo Qingchen at all. There was only one reason why she didn't go out. She was a fool. If she went out often, she would be easily exposed. He thought about it when he went home. That fool must have been at odds with him and was waiting for him to coax her. Thinking of this, he rushed over to the Luo family without stopping. Big brother must be joking. Wang Zihang awkwardly looked at Luo Qiemo and said, "I came here because I saw Qingchen's letters from before and missed her." Pong. The sound of the door opening rang out. Then there was the maid's voice, "Young miss, welcome back." Luo Qingchen nodded before heading into the main hall. Lu Shifeng followed behind her with his hands in his pocket, giving off a strong aura. In reality, Wang Zihang was bending over in front of Luo Lin. On the table was a stack of past love letters. When Wang Zihang saw Luo Qingchen come over, his eyes filled with joy. But when he saw Lu Shifeng behind her, his eyes dimmed. He thought that the richest man of a city was just casually mentioning his engagement to Luo Qingchen at the banquet. But now it seemed like they were really getting engaged. Director Lu. Luo Lin quickly stood up when he saw Lu Shifeng and politely said, "Director Lu, why didn't you tell me you were coming?" "Uncle, don't be like this." Lu Shifeng quickly came forward to let Luo Lin sit down before saying, "If Uncle is like this, Qingchen will definitely make me kneel on the washboard tonight." Luo Lin was stunned, as if he couldn't believe that these words would come from Lu Shifeng's mouth. He smiled and said, "She wouldn't dare. She wouldn't dare." In Luo Lin's eyes, Luo Qingchen had always been timid since she was young. She couldn't be that kind of person. Even if he wasn't a fool, he wouldn't dare make Lu Shifeng kneel on the washboard. At this moment, Wang Zihang was still standing. Deep in his heart, he felt that he was being ignored. In the next second, he eagerly wanted to make his presence known. His eyes were as deep as water as he looked at Luo Qingchen and said, "Qing, I'm really sorry about what happened that day," Wang Zihang thought to himself. He had suddenly come to the Luo clan and suddenly talked to her. She must not have made any preparations to memorize the lines. She would definitely be exposed. As long as he was exposed, his mental defenses would crumble. At that time, his gentle words would definitely make her return to his side. That way, there would be some progress on the 30 million debt. Hee. Her cold eyes narrowed, and her voice did not have a trace of warmth as she looked at him and said, "Does young Master Wang not understand human language?" Wang Zihang was stunned, being shocked by her sudden cold voice. He could only stutter as he said, "I'm here to apologize. Don't be so fierce." Luo Qingchen looked at the maid beside her and said a few words to her in a low voice before the maid headed to the attic. Chapter 687. Luo Lin cleared his throat when he saw this. "Since this is the world of you young people, I won't meddle." After saying this, he headed to the second floor. He was actually very annoyed with the Wang family. The cooperation was always stuck on the problem of money. The Wang family took out 100% commission for the cooperation, and they paid a total of 10%. Luo Lin thought that since they would be a family in the future, he would turn a blind eye to it. But the Wang family wasn't just like this. They used fake accounts to empty public funds, and their methods were quite rough. If it wasn't for his daughter liking the Wang family's eldest son, named Wang Zihang, he definitely wouldn't have cooperated with this kind of person. When he heard that his daughter didn't like him, he was filled with joy. He directly canceled the cooperation and cut off all contact with the Wang family. But now that person named Wang Zihang, it seemed like he didn't want to give up Qingshun. Wang Zihang was a bit helpless, but he still thickened his face and said in an aggrieved voice, "Do you still remember? The first time I took you to the Garden of Roses, you tightly hugged me and said that you liked me the most in this world." Luo Qingshun thought about it. The previous host did remember this matter. But as soon as she thought about it, her stomach churned. She gave a cold snort and said, "I don't remember." Lu Shifeng, standing on the side, casually sat down on the sofa and tapped the armrest of the sofa with the tip of his right hand. It was like he was using a silent and provocative action to say, "Please begin your performance." Wang Ziheng silently clenched his fist and looked at the love letters on the table. It was like he was filled with fighting spirit as he looked at Luo Qingshun and said, "These are the love letters you wrote to me. Don't you remember?" When he said this, Lu Shifeng on the side casually picked up a letter and narrowed his eyes. As expected, he was still jealous. Luo Qingshun took the letter from Lu Shifeng's hand and said with trembling eyes, "This kind of trash, it's not suitable to stay in this world." As soon as her voice fell, the maid from before came over with an iron basin. She looked up with cold eyes and threw all the love letters into the basin while looking at Wang Ziheng. "I don't remember." In an instant, she picked up the lighter on the table. She lit up all the love letters. Wang Ziheng froze in place. Luo Qingshun sat there for less than 5 seconds. He had originally thought that he had an 80% chance of winning her back. Looking at it now, it didn't even seem to be 50%. Since he didn't have a chance, he couldn't allow the other party to succeed, even if that person was the awe-inspiring Lu Shifeng. "Qingshun," Wang Ziheng called her softly, "you don't understand how complicated this circle is. Some people may not be really good to you. All he wanted was to make use of the Luo clan's resources. You fool, I'm worried that you've been tricked." PFFF. Luo Qingshun found it very funny when she heard this. Weren't these words completely directed at Wang Ziheng himself? How could he have the nerve to say such righteous words from the perspective of justice? Where's his face? "Wang Ziheng, you really are a talent." She sneered and said, "For 30 million, you don't even want your face." "Qingshun, young Master Wang." Wang Ziheng wanted to say something, but Lu Shifeng cut him off. Chapter 688. What is this? Wang Ziheng's heart skipped a beat, feeling like he was acting like a clown. Naturally, he saw the 3 words marriage certificate, but he didn't dare believe it. After that, Luo Qingshun took out the red book from her pocket and placed it on the table. "We have a certificate now. Do you understand?" Wang Ziheng's face turned green at that moment. He couldn't stand still as he staggered back, just like a clown. Lu Shifeng waved his hand and said to the maid on the side, "Send the guest off." "Pucci." Luo Qingshun crossed her arms and said with a faint smile, "Master is very imposing." Lu Shifeng took her hand and pulled her into his embrace. "Lord Wife is the true master." Ding! Affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 90%. At this moment, Wang Ziheng didn't have any face to stay. His face filled with anger and shame flickered as he tightly clenched his fists and left the Luo family with large strides. Luo Qingshun gritted her teeth. She looked at Luo Qimo hiding behind the stairs and said, "Some sneaky people can come out now." Luo Qimo had an awkward look as he stood up with a smile that, "I was just passing by. You can continue." After saying this, he ran off without a trace. There was only her and Lu Shifeng in the empty hall right now. He softly took her in his embrace as he said in a half-pampering and half-jealous voice, "I never thought that you would write a love letter to him." Luo Qingshun heard this, and her heart filled with anger. But she couldn't deny this matter, so she could only bite her lip and say, "Who hasn't met scum in their life?" When one was young, there were times when one's eyes were wrong. If one met a male god who was deeply in love with them, that was called a miracle. Miracles were called miracles because there were very few of them. Because her parents were at home, Luo Qingshun sent Lu Shifeng off early. She took a shower and knocked on the door to the study. Luo Lin is looking at the latest cooperation case with his reading glasses. Luo Qingshun puts down the milk in her hand and says while rubbing his back, "Dad, thank you for your hard work." Luo Lin was startled. In the past, his daughter was always silly. It was rare to see her like this. Now that she had become smarter, she suddenly felt like a caring little cotton-padded jacket. "Good girl." Luo Lin gently patted her hand and said, "My daughter has become smarter. Her eyesight has also improved." "Dad, do you also think that my taste has improved?" Luo Qingshun's eyes lit up, and she took the opportunity to say, "Then I'll tell you something. You can't be angry." Killing first and reporting later was indeed a thrilling thing. But the thrill was only in the execution, not the reporting. "What trouble did you get into this time?" Luo Lin asked worriedly. Although she didn't go out much in the past, she did get into a lot of trouble. Just returning the money to Wang Ziheng cost several million. But he loved his daughter, so even if he knew, he never exposed her. Luo Qingshun was a bit surprised and frankly said, "I was a bit bored in the afternoon, so I went to get married." She felt that the first part was a bit boring, like it was all done in one go. After getting married, her voice became smaller and smaller. For a while, there was silence in the air. When Luo Qingshun wanted to explain, Luo Lin suddenly stood up to look at her and said, "With Director Lu?" "Yes." She nodded as her heart filled with a bit of panic. After all, killing first and reporting later wasn't good. Humph. It was all Lu Shifeng's fault, encouraging her to steal the household register. Chapter 689. "Zizz, my good daughter." Luo Lin excitedly stood up and said, "You actually got a city's richest man this easily, and even got a marriage certificate." A bunch of crows flew over Luo Qingshun's head. What did this father mean? Who could explain it to her? Luo Lin excitedly picked up his phone and walked around, as if he wanted to tell this exciting news to someone first. 3 seconds later, he dialed the number of a certain director. "Brother Su," Luo Lin said through the phone. "Do you know? My daughter is actually getting married to Director Lu." "What?" "It isn't my wishful thinking, it's true." "Aya, it's true, it's true. I'll tell you when we set up the banquet." As soon as his voice fell, he hung up. In less than a second, he picked up the phone again. "Dad, that." Luo Qingshun thought that her dad would say some serious words to her, but she could only accept the fact that the rice had already been cooked. But now it seemed like Luo Lin was completely immersed in joy and excitement. My precious daughter can go to sleep if you're tired. Dad still has a few calls to make." "What?" "No." "Hey, Director Zhang." Right, it's me. "My daughter is getting married to the Lu family." "No, it's not an engagement. It's a marriage. They're already married." "What?" "I didn't drink that much. I didn't." "They're really married." "Hey, brother, how have you been recently?" "I've been very good recently. My daughter is getting married." No, it's not what is going on. Wang Ziheng, my brother, is trash." "It's Director Lu." "That's right, strong, rich, ha ha ha." When Luo Qingshun heard the third call, she already couldn't keep listening. Powerful, her dad. It gave her an unprecedented shock, making her feel incomparably shocked. The next morning, Luo Qingshun still went to the company. Her job went from F Group's designer to Lu Shifeng's secretary. This change only needed a single piece of paper. It was enough to change the director's position. Although I can't bear to part with Qingshun, once Director Lu is here, no one can compete with her. Bai Shishir helped her pick up a few pots of succulents and said, "I heard that a secretary's job is more complicated, so I'll help you bring some plants to prevent radiation. Qingshun will be working on the 30th floor from now on." Mo said enviously. "Next time, take us to the 30th floor. I really want to know what kind of decoration it has." "Okay." Luo Qingshun chuckled and said, "How about organizing a dream-building team to visit the president's office on the 30th floor in a few days?" All right. Bai Shishir continued gossiping. "Speaking of this, Director Lu really is fast and ruthless in dealing with matters. I've heard that Su Nai's entire team has been fired by the Lu group, and Director Lu has blocked them all. TSK, 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 how satisfying. M.O. snorted and said, "Back then, they bullied us so ruthlessly. Finally, good and evil have their retribution. In the entire modeling circle, who dares to want Su Nai and the others? They are people fired by Director Lu." Bai Sure pursed her lips and said, "Moreover, I've heard that the reason for firing them is because of their bad character. It's like this." Luo Qingxuan held her chin and said, "This is very Lu Shifeng." Although she hadn't been with Lu Shifeng for a short time, she always felt that there was a little demon that normal people couldn't see living in his heart. It felt like he could explode at any moment. Chapter 690. This was her first time going up to the 30th floor with Lu Shifeng, so she was actually a bit nervous. This place that was known as the Lu Group's forbidden area, just what was it like? The elevator was made of glass, going up floor by floor. She felt a strange feeling and couldn't help taking 2 steps back. "Darling wife, come over here." Lu Shifeng softly pulled her hand and had her stand on the other side of the glass. Luo Qingchen was surprised as she felt a very strange feeling. It was like crossing the road. Lu Shifeng would always stand on the side of the car. He would stand on her left and right when crossing the road. Does anyone normally come up to the 30th floor? Luo Qingchen blinked as her eyes were as clear as water. All the elevators to the 30th floor require fingerprints, so it's just me and Lin Yu most of the time. It's just the two of you. Luo Qingchen pursed her lips and couldn't hide her smile. The company was filled with rumors, and she suddenly felt that it was a bit fun, so she deliberately teased Lu Shifeng. But she never thought that he would raise his right hand and push her against the elevator door. His lips curled into a dangerous smile as he said, "Darling wife, what do you want to say?" It was like he could see through her thoughts with a single glance. Although he didn't say anything, he used his actions to refute her thoughts. She took a deep breath. When she saw the handsome face getting closer and closer to her heart started to beat wildly. Before she could finish, Lu Shifeng's right hand took her waist, and he softly placed a kiss on her lips. It was a very soft kiss. Once it landed, it left. "Lu Shifeng, why are you stealing a kiss from me?" Luo Qingchen took a deep breath and tried to control her emotions, but her red face had already betrayed her. She felt that being kissed by him was very strange. This was the previous host's first real kiss other than the accident on the cruise ship. It was very nervous and jumping. Ding! When the elevator door opened, he picked her up by the waist. His gentle voice sounded in her ears. "If it wasn't for the fact that you were afraid of falling in the elevator, I think that you wouldn't have the strength to be angry." When he was with her, he never dared to make any jokes, no matter if it was driving, crossing the road, or taking the elevator. Luo Qingchen buried her head and rubbed against his shirt. "Aya, put me down. I'm not letting go." He refused decisively, but his tone changed as if he was leaving some suspense. Unless what?" Luo Qingchen blinked her eyes. Say it. Although there was no one around, she still felt like she was being hugged by someone in the company. What a strange look. "Call me hubby." When his magnetic voice sounded in her ears, it could almost make her heart go numb. Luo Qingchen was a little embarrassed. She pulled her hair back and said vaguely, "My dear husband," Lu Shifeng said with a gentle smile, "it seems like you don't want to come down. There's a pool in front. I wonder if my baby wife can swim." "Why?" Luo Qingchen stared at her bright eyes and pursed her lips. "Didn't I already shout?" "You have to pronounce it clearly. My lord has to remove it." Lu Shifeng lowered his head to kiss her forehead and said in a pampering voice, "Do you need another chance?" Chapter 691. Standing in the office on the 30th floor, Luo Qingchen suddenly felt like she had seen through Lu Shifeng's little secret. The bar, the basketball court, the tennis room, the swimming pool. Everything was there. It was like a small villa. Everything was there. The most special thing was the sofa in the middle. The super large sofa was in a circle, and it felt like she was sinking into a soft sofa when she sat on it. But she didn't know that when she looked up, a chiseled face appeared in front of her in an instant. The corners of his mouth curled up into a dangerous smile as he approached her bit by bit. You. Luo Qingshun sat back and shrank her neck back. She looked around and said, I want to say something. He stopped approaching her and sat down beside her as he said with a soft laugh. What? He thought that she would say something shy, but he never thought that. In broad daylight, Luo Qingshun raised her hand and pointed at the sun outside the window. You're actually taking advantage of a good woman. The next second, he suddenly pulled her into his arms. A beautiful voice sounded in her ears. First, you are not a good woman. You are my wife. Second, even if I take advantage of you in broad daylight, there are few people here. Even if you call the heavens, the earth won't respond. Luo Qingshun was stunned, feeling like she had been set up. Lu Shifeng didn't give her a chance to think as he directly kissed her. This kiss was very, very sweet. It wasn't an overbearing kiss. Rather, it was a gentle kiss that lingered around her. After a while, Luo Qingshun blinked in this gentle kiss before excitedly shouting, It's snowing. Woo! Lu Shifeng slightly knit his brows. Seeing that she wasn't serious, he kissed her even harder, like he was declaring his sovereignty. Luo Qingshun's heart skipped a beat. This sudden storm made her not know what she had said wrong. It's snowing. Shouldn't you share the joy of seeing snow? After a while, he slowly let her go and said, You're not focused on kissing. Is it because your husband isn't skilled enough, or is the snow more charming than me? Why would a man be jealous of the weather? Although he said this, Lu Shifeng still took his casual jacket and put it over her as he said, The temperature will drop. You have to wear more tomorrow. I'm wearing a lot today. Luo Qingshun gently waved her hand and said, I'm wearing 4 pieces. It was already late winter, and she was afraid of the cold, so she wore a lot of clothes. Lu Shifeng pinched her little nose and said, Then wear 5. She pretended to be satisfied and protested. Wearing 5 pieces makes me look like a big dumpling. You're clearly only wearing 2 pieces. Why are you making me wear 5 pieces? He seemed to seriously think about it and said, Because with you by my side, I feel very warm. Ding! Your little prince is online. In the following days, Luo Qingshun's daily work was very tedious. Not only did she have to cooperate with President Liu, but she also had to do it on the wall, table, or sofa. She also had to be responsible for receiving President Liu's flirtatious words anytime and anywhere. That's right, she had another function, which was to help him buy the new season of clothes that the Liu Group released this year. President Liu's concept was, as long as his wife liked it, it was good clothes. As long as his wife didn't like it, it was trash. Chapter 692. Unknowingly, time flew by as if it was flying by at high speed. The year was coming to an end, and Luo Qingshun attached great importance to the end of the year banquet. After all, this was related to the side quest. It all depended on it. Earlier, she had asked what the 3rd prize of this year's Liu Group's annual banquet was. The head of the administration department gave her the answer: the multi-purpose massage chair. She had specially looked up many guides on the internet. How to get the 3rd prize at the banquet. It had to be said this was a damn side quest. Only a damn trash system could think of something like this. Simply calculating the probability, the Liu Group had a total of over 8,000 people, and there were a total of 10 3rd prize winners. This probability of winning was only 1 in 800. This side quest would be forced to fail. Thinking of this probability, Luo Qingshun couldn't help scolding her system. System, let me ask you, can you complete this side quest for me to see? Why is the host complaining? The system was very aggrieved. All right, I won't complain. I'll just ask you, if I complete the main quest and the side quest fails, will you deduct my experience? I will. The system was very calm. It didn't know if it should say this or not. Host, the system is a bit tired and wants to rest. I hope you turn into a pile of broken parts and never wake up again. Goodbye. The system was very angry at the host. So angry, your expression doesn't look good when you're angry. Lu Shifeng looked at Luo Qingshun, sitting in front of the computer with a frustrated look, and said, Baby wife, what are you worried about? You look like the sky is falling down. Luo Qingxin's eyes lit up as she sat down on the soft bed and said, "Sir Director, Lu wants to ask you a question." "Is serious?" He softly hugged her from behind before casually leaning against the headboard. "I'll definitely tell you everything I know." "Cuckoo." Luo Qingxin cleared her throat and said, "Tell me, isn't winning completely based on luck?" Lu Shifeng was a bit surprised. He raised his hand to touch her forehead and said, "Are you sick?" He saw that she was a bit cute, and his deep eyes lit up. No. Luo Qingxin put her hands together and said with a sigh, "God bless me. God bless me. I'm a very satisfied person. Just let me win the third prize at the banquet tomorrow." She didn't want the 100,000 special prize. She also didn't want the first or second prize. In life, one had to give people a path and surprise. She just wanted a normal third prize. "Quickly go to sleep." Lu Shifeng, Luo, 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 Luo. Oomph. She snorted seriously and hid under the blanket. It seemed that there was no hope for this side mission. Lu Shifeng covered her with a blanket and came to the computer to look at someone's Baidu question. His lips couldn't help curling into a faint smile. It was so cute that he didn't know how to describe it. "You're probably a person who wants to daydream all day. Say, 'God bless me,' twice before going to sleep. Quickly accept me." Lu Shifeng gave a soft laugh and closed all the pages before turning off his phone. Seeing that she was already asleep, he slowly turned off the light and went to the balcony to send a text to Linyu. Chapter 693. The Lu group had booked the entire Venice hotel for the annual party. After all, this world's 7-star hotel chain was just a part of the Lu family's business. Luo Qingxin was wearing thick clothes, 2 sweaters, and a thick down jacket. After all, if she didn't wear this much, her Mr. Lu wouldn't agree. Because Lu Shifeng had something else to do, she came in alone. There were many gazes around her, but whether it was envy or jealousy, they didn't dare say a single word. After all, she was now the official Mrs. Lu. Of course, there were many people who came forward to flatter her, but she rejected them all with an elegant smile. After all, she was now the Mrs. Lu, so for the most important person in this world, she had to be elegant. Qingxin. The first one to call her was by Sure, and there was a very gentle youth standing beside her. Luo Qingxin narrowed her eyes as she recognized him. It was Lin Xing, who had cast a precious vote at the winter show. Luo Qingxin slowly came forward, and her lips curled as she said, "Hello, Mrs. Lu." Lin Xing was very polite, even giving her a slight bow when he spoke. Luo Qingxin gave a soft laugh and quickly waved her hand. No need. We're on the same side." Bai Sure softly pulled her to the side and said, "Qingxin, do you remember that before you came, although we were at the bottom, there was someone who always voted for us?" "Unhumph." Luo Qingxin's eyes sparkled as she said, "Lin Xing." Bai Sure shyly whispered in her ear, "We're together." "Pooh." Luo Qingxin was stunned. She suddenly had a sixth sense that was quite strong. System, did Bai Sure and Lin Xing know each other before? Lin Xing has had a crush on Bai Sure for an entire 7 years. Damn. Cuckoo. Luo Qingxin cleared her throat and said, "After all the disappointment, he is your path of return." Without knowing why, this sentence suddenly flashed in her mind. She wanted to say these pretentious words to Bai Sure. Bai Sure was a loss, but in the end, she understood what he meant and said, "And he is my path of return." Luo Qingxin did not reveal the secret of her 7-year crush because she knew that one day, Lin Xing would tell her. This kind of domineering and infatuated scene. Let's leave it to the male lead of her life. Luo Qingxin sat down casually beside her and listened to some recent gossip. Bai Sure said that Wang Zhe had left the Lu family, but she didn't know where he went. In short, she never saw him again. Occasionally, she would receive a call from a stranger in the dead of the night, but she would always hang up the moment she picked up the call, because she knew who he was. Although she couldn't let it go in the beginning, she gradually understood as time passed that some things would end up with nothing if she held them tightly. If he opened his palm, perhaps he would have a different encounter. After all, surprises were always unexpected. If he couldn't hold the sand, he would throw it away. Luo Qingshan didn't say much, but gave her a thumbs up. In a love story, if the other party gave up on you for fame, then there was no need to turn back. Because if he gave up on you for fame the first time, he would give up on you for fame the second time. Chapter 694. Welcome everyone to the Lu Group's luxurious banquet. The host's sweet voice slowly rang out. Is everyone satisfied? Are you happy? Yo, happy. Cheers rang out, and the crowd fell into chaos. The host continued. Then let's begin with the annual party's grand prize draw. Because this is the first banquet hall, we will be synchronized with the other banquets later. See. Luo Qingshan looked at the number of 099 card in her hand and quickly sat up. It's time for the draw. It's time for the draw. Bai Shi and Momo looked at her with confused looks as they said at the same time, Why are you so excited? Lu Shifeng's wife cared about the draw? Aya, you don't understand. Luo Qingshan said in a serious voice, This is a kind of faith. This time's draw is quite special. The host heard the voice coming from the headset and continued, We'll start with the grand prize. Bai Shi muttered in a confused voice. There's actually no suspense. The host placed the box in the center and looked at the people under the stage as he said, The grand prize of 100,000 goes to number 1,357. The crowd fell into chaos. After 3 seconds, it's me. There's a live broadcast from another banquet hall on the big screen. A man wearing a plaid shirt excitedly jumped up with an excited look on his face. Next was the first and second prizes. Luo Qingshan wasn't excited at all, but Bai Shi and Momo were very excited. The two of them listened attentively to the host's words as if their hearts were in their throats. When it was time for the third prize, Luo Qingshan, who hadn't said a word, suddenly sat up. You weren't excited when you drew the grand prize. Why are you so excited now that you're drawing the third prize? Bai Shi saw that she suddenly became excited, and Luo Qingshan said with a confused look, You wouldn't understand even if I told you. She looked at the number in her hand and put her hands together in prayer. 5269, 1400, 3326. When the host finished reading the 10 numbers, Luo Qingshan sighed in frustration and said, Sure enough, I still can't do it. Why didn't the goddess of luck bless me? Today's lucky draw segment is a little special. In the next second, the host's sweet voice rang out. In order to sympathize with all the employees of the Lu Group, Boss Lu has decided to draw 8,321 third prizes at this year's annual meeting. I wish everyone a happy new year. Everyone was stunned at this moment. 8,321 third prizes. Didn't that mean that all the employees in the group were third prizes? Oh my God, Boss Lu is so good. Adonis, I'm willing to do your laundry and cook for you. I'm willing to. Stop dreaming. Bai Shi looked at Luo Qingshan's lifeless eyes and said, Is it because you want to win the third prize? Is it that exaggerated? In the next second, her eyes trembled and she said in a daze, Many thanks to Mrs. Lu for giving us a third prize to normal people without luck. Bai Shi knew that her guess was most likely correct from her expression, but she never thought that Lu Shifeng would spoil her to this degree. Luo Qingshan took a deep breath. She heard the sound around her, but her heart was as calm as water. Chapter 695. After the annual meeting was over, a certain Lu put a massage chair in the back seat of his luxurious Benz. Lu Shifeng looked at her quiet self and said with a faint smile, Darling wife, do you feel like you're squandering money? Feeling sorry for the money. Thinking about it, it really was a waste of money. She pursed her lips and said, Actually, there's no need to be like this. I'm just casually saying it. Although the side mission was important, this kind of method was too extravagant. I want to fulfill every dream of yours. Lu Shifeng paused before saying, Everything you want, as long as I can do it, I will do it without hesitation. He didn't care about time. He didn't care about money. He didn't care about anything else. It was enough that she was happy. The little love talk is online. Luo Qingshan had a smile that was hard to hide as her eyes sparkled. Luo Qingshan, it really is the truth. After that, The luxurious Benz stopped at the entrance of the villa. His dark eyes had an irresistible aura as he slowly approached her. Actually, she knew that this was the truth. She just wanted to tease the overbearing president in her heart. But she didn't know that a soft kiss would fall down. Cool lips and the cool smell of mint filled the air. This was a kiss that went from light to deep, inch by inch, with his unique breathing that made people confused. The scene of their first meeting couldn't help flashing in her mind. She had accidentally created this wonderful meeting between them. Without knowing how long passed, he finally gently let her go. He slowly unbuckled her seatbelt and picked her up to head upstairs. While walking, he asked, "Darling wife, I always wanted to ask you something." This was a question that he hadn't thought through yet. Although the answer wasn't important, he was still very curious. What? He raised his eyes slightly and looked at her lips that were red from a kiss. His heart couldn't help but skip a beat. As he hurriedly asked this question, he had already leaned over and kissed her lips again. "How did you come back after jumping into the sea?" "Woo." Luo Qingshun didn't have time to reply before he firmly kissed her. She didn't know why, but the kiss this time was very, very deep. With every step he took, he kissed her harder, as if he didn't want to miss out on this feeling. It was only when the door was opened that she slowly breathed a sigh of relief. However, he never thought that the moment he entered the door, a familiar smell would assail his nostrils. All the memories seemed to be pulled back to the scene of their first meeting. She immediately covered her mouth and nose and stammered, "Oh my God, someone was here? It should be." Lu Shifeng knit his brows as he felt every cell in his body burning. "Then what should we do?" Luo Qingshun naturally knew what this was, and she didn't want to experience it again. He frowned as the image of his mother flashed through his mind. Damn it, he shouldn't have given her the keys to the villa. But the anticipation in his heart seemed to have overshadowed all other feelings. The next second, he narrowed his eyes and said, "Since we can't escape, we might as well enjoy it." "What?" With that, he closed the door with one hand and pulled her into his embrace with the other. His sense of smell seemed to be magnified by 10 times as he said with a faint smile, "Wife, let's go to sleep." His voice was very soft and gentle, with a faint ambiguous feeling that surrounded her. Chapter 696. He quickly carried her to the master bedroom, as if he couldn't wait a second longer. "Wait." Luo Qingshun pursed her lips and controlled her breathing. "I think we should take a shower first." "Together?" Lu Shifeng's eyes flashed with a faint liguang as his lips curled into a faint smile. She quickly waved her hand and said, "No." "All right." Lu Shifeng unwillingly let her go and patted her head. "Quickly go." Half an hour later, the fragrance of a shower gel refreshed her mind. She slowly opened the bathroom door and tiptoed into the bedroom. Lu Shifeng seemed to have already taken a shower in the other bathroom, as he silently laid in bed without moving. Luo Qingshun softly pulled open a corner of the blanket and slowly got in. But she didn't know that as soon as she laid down, the man beside her who hadn't moved at all suddenly took her in his embrace. Luo Qingshun's heart skipped a beat as Lu Shifeng's unique aura surrounded her. "I suddenly miss." His low and gentle voice slowly sounded. "The first time we met, the way you were." Luo Qingshun rubbed her head against his arm and said, "Can we not talk about this matter?" She felt that she was like a tough woman that day, rolling over and forcefully pressing someone under her body. She couldn't bear to look back. She covered her face in embarrassment. She couldn't see. "So, our family's darling wife is embarrassed?" Lu Shifeng softly hugged her, as if this cloud-like cotton feeling could touch his heart. "I'm not." When she looked up, he lowered his head to place a kiss on her forehead. She gently closed her eyes, feeling that faint sense of beauty. After a while, he tightly hugged her and whispered in her ear, "It's been a day. Close your eyes and sleep." "Thank you, Lu Shifeng." Without knowing why, those countless words of love couldn't move her as much as this. Her eyes turned red, and she really wanted to say thank you. "Cuckoo." Lu Shifeng cleared his throat and said, "Can you change the nickname?" Luo Qingshun rolled her eyes and closed them slightly. She kissed his cheek and said softly, "Good night, hubby." He was slightly stunned, but in the next second, he hugged her even tighter. A deep and pleasant voice sounded softly, "Good wife." The sun rose and set, and people came and went. Many years later, many people passed by them. However, he still held her hand tightly because he knew that he could not let her down in this lifetime. For Lu Shifeng, Luo Qingqian's appearance was the only light in his life. He used all his strength to protect this treasure. They were romantic for a lifetime, snuggled up to each other for a lifetime, and stayed together for a lifetime. As time passed, he still liked to hug her from behind. Letting his back gently lean against her shoulder, he told her the story of their first encounter that year. Luo Qingqian vaguely remembered what Lu Shifeng said to her. He said, "My feelings for you aren't something that can make you faint right away and spoil you for a long time." She wanted to tease him that the little prince of love was online, but seeing his serious dark eyes, she could only purse her lips and sneak into his embrace. This is probably their life. Perhaps you will find it unremarkable, but for them, having each other was already a lifetime of care. Chapter 697. Of all the beautiful scenery, I like you the most. Lu Shifeng, I never thought that I would meet the most important person in my life in that kind of situation. If you ask me when I fell in love with her, I can tell you that when she cut her skin with a knife, my heart skipped a beat. This kind of feeling, I had never felt anything like this since I was born. The entire room was filled with the smell of aphrodisiac. I had always controlled myself well, but I seemed to have lost control that day. In the darkness, I could vaguely see the outline of her face. Leaning against the moon, I could see her clear as water eyes. I suddenly had a perverted desire to know if she would do anything to me. I never thought that as soon as I thought of this. She charged forward and threw herself at me. Her breathing was very heavy, like she wasn't very willing to throw herself at me. I was stunned at first. There was a moment when I wanted to push her away, but it was only for a moment. In the next second, my heart seemed to have uncontrollably raised the white flag and surrendered. I panicked as I rubbed her waist. When I felt her soft as ice lips coming closer, I couldn't help wanting to kiss her. Every cell in my blood was boiling. I was eager to know what that forbidden world looked like. I never thought that she would stop right after. She suddenly jumped out of my embrace, like I was the one with bad intentions. She was clearly the one who entered my room and threw herself at me, pulling at my heartstrings, all right? I teased her, and seeing her panicked appearance, I felt that it was very cute. But I never thought that she would take out $11.30, saying that it was an attempt even if she did something. I was shocked. What kind of girl could say this in front of me, Lu Shifeng? I had never chased a girl since I was born. There was even a time when I was young when I thought that there was no one in this world that I couldn't chase. Although I've never done it before, when I'm really despised, I can't help but feel disgusted. My first reaction was, I had to let her know who I was. But she didn't give me a chance to speak as she jumped out the window. My heart skipped a beat, and I rushed over as fast as I could, but I only managed to grab the red scarf. How much does she despise me that she wouldn't take responsibility for me even if she were to jump into the sea? But in fact, his immediate reaction was a kind of unprecedented worry. The sea was vast, and if he jumped in like this, he was afraid that it would be disastrous. The landing of the boat did not lead me to her. This made me worry more and more until I got the list that Lin Yu gave me. He said that no one who entered the cruise ship had gone missing, which meant that she was still alive. He swam out of the sea in an inconceivable way. There was only one thought in my mind at the moment. I was going to have another good night and wait for her to come. This was actually a gamble. After all, I didn't even know who she was. I could only recognize her from her vague outline that night. It was really too difficult. But the moment she appeared in front of me, I knew that this wonderful feeling had never left me. As long as she appears, I will know who she is. I didn't even need the most convincing evidence of the bandage on my arm to know that. Chapter 698. I saw that not only were there a lot of people standing around Wang Zihong, even the tone he used when talking to her had a sense of superiority. But she was very cold, surprisingly human. In fact, I didn't know why I stood beside her and announced that she was my fiancée. At that time, I didn't think too much. I just wanted her to stay away from scum and stand by her side to protect her. Wang Zihong seemed to be very surprised. After all, my status in a city was much higher than his. He always called her an idiot. I didn't understand. She was clearly such a cute little girl. Was Wang Zihong's brain damaged? After that, I officially became her fiancé. Of course, I didn't think that she would secretly come to Lu Group to be a designer, and the team she was in didn't seem to be very good. I had Lin Yu pay close attention to her team's every move. I heard that when the HR department bullied her. The next day, that HR department no longer existed in my company. I was like this. I like to play favorites. If you think I'm a dictator, then please sit in my position and talk to me. Although I didn't know why she came to my company to be a designer, I could protect her in my own way. Until the start of the winter fair, I had already paved the way for her. In fact, I was also looking forward to seeing her surprised and moved expression, because I really wanted to move her. Everything went according to my expectations. Dream Builder won the championship with my 30 points, and I won her design for 50 million. When I saw the shocked and excited expression on her face, I knew that it was all worth it. In fact, she was a little fool. She thought that I moved her, but in fact, she moved me. I could see the meaning of her design at a glance. It was a design concept related to me. Even if she didn't say it, I knew. I suddenly felt very warm. She wasn't the kind of person who would tell you everything. So naturally, her design couldn't fall into the hands of others. After all, I didn't want to share her things with anyone. I planned to persuade her to steal the household register and marry me. What I didn't expect was that she agreed. Although he agreed to it under my constant nagging and threats and promises, he still didn't give up. But I was still very happy. After all, that so-called fiancé was about to become his wife. I happened to pass by the cafeteria and saw someone bullying her, so of course I rushed up without hesitation. Since someone dared to bully my wife in my company, he must be tired of living. I was very angry at that moment, and when I spoke, I didn't have the slightest bit of sympathy. Actually, I didn't even pay that sunai in the end. If you want to sue me, then come. If I take a step back, it'll be my loss. The lawsuit could go on for many years, and I was sure that she didn't have the ability to fight against me. From then on, everyone in the company knew that she was my wife. I could bring her in and out of the company as I pleased. When it was nearing the annual meeting, she asked me cutely how she could win the third prize. I thought about it. I was probably the only one in the world who could do it for her. It took me some time to contact Lin Yu and buy more than 8,000 massage chairs. But the good thing is that she's happy, and it's worth it for me. Chapter 699. Every time it ends, it's the opening of a new world. Today we'll ask our director, Lu, or rather, Shy, 10 questions. All right? All right. That's Director Lu. Pa 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 pa. The system talking to itself was seriously clapping. First question, what was your first reaction when you first met her? Pounce, pounce, and pounce. Be elegant. Don't be dirty. Please answer again. Sleep with her. Just pretend the system didn't say anything, all right? There's no need to answer again. Second question, when did you feel she was the cutest? She gave me $11.30, and she even said it was an attempt. The system also feels that the host is very poor. After all, she had borrowed money from it. I really thought it was $1 billion. I was thinking that she was looking down on me. Lu Shifeng wanted to send me off with just $1 billion. I never thought that she would say $11.30. Third question, the rich circle is rumored that she is a fool. What do you think about this? I feel that they are the fools. Look at that Wang Ziheng. If he didn't have a normal family background, he would be a hooligan standing on the street. Very right. Fourth question, did you bid a sky-high price for her design at the winter auction just to prevent it from falling into other people's hands? Not really. He hesitated a bit before saying, I just wanted to make her smile. Fifth question, what is the one thing that moved you the most? When she admitted that she was my fiancé in the cafeteria, there was a feeling that there was only me and her in the world. Sixth question, did she give you any birthday presents? Many presents. Speaking of birthdays, I said something to her. What did you say? The system wanted to say that at the end of each time, it was possible to be fed dog food. Couldn't you be a bit gentler this time? She bought me a very large cake and had me make a wish. I said, "Do you remember my birthday wish from last year?" I said that I wanted to be with her for a lifetime, and now she's listening to me. Yes, yes. This is very Lu Shifeng. Seventh question. What are your spare time activities? She'll accompany me to the tennis court to play tennis, and I'll accompany her to watch TV shows at 8 o'clock. Although they have different interests and hobbies, as long as they dote on each other, there's nothing wrong with that. The system also feels that those who say their personalities don't match simply don't like them. Eighth question. What was the reason for the first quarrel? Fight. Lu Shifeng seriously thought about it before saying, because of a cat. Later, she raised a cat and spent a lot of time with it. I think she likes cats more than me. Then how did you solve it? Love me, love my dog. She likes her kitten. Even if I don't like it, I have to make myself like it. How doting of the host. Ninth question. When did you feel the most heartache for her? Every time her period comes, it hurts so much that she trembles. I don't know what to do. After that, I tried many methods and finally found one that was completely effective. What method? Share it with us little fairies. On the first day of your period, soak your feet in hot water for half an hour and drink a cup of brown sugar ginger tea. Wow. I feel that the host really is happy. 10th question. The Little Prince of Love is online. Can you say something to her? What I want in my life is love and freedom, you and gentleness. Chapter 700. Welcome back, host. Hello, system. The host seems to be very happy because it's very warm. It's like I'm experiencing a different warm story. Although it wasn't completely smooth, at least it didn't hurt her heart. The following is a summary of the mission. Host, please properly look over it. Name, Luo, Qingshan World. Black Belly President's Deep Kiss. Mission completion rate, 50%. There is currently one item in the EXP dimensional storage. iPhone 999. Exchange points, 16,900, 500 deducted from the last world. Base points, 40-inch weight. Luo Qingshan asked the system in a daze, why is it 2,000? It was 2,500 last time, so it should be 3,000 with 500. Because the host side mission failed. Damn, our director Lu spent that much money and it still failed? Luo Qingshan couldn't understand it all. Her heart ached for her money. The third prize system only records the top 10 lottery numbers. MMP, can I curse people? No. The host's 14th mission panel is below. Appearance, stamina, intelligence, figure. After that, the image in the bronze mirror changed. Mission grade, experience gained, 500. Exchange points gained, 5,000. Female lead, Luo Qingshan male lead. Zhuanmu Ran supporting female lead. Jinwen dance supporting male lead. Yiyong June mission content. Return to 3 years before the female lead died and obtain the love of the male lead Zhuanmu Ran. Side mission, have the Luo family rebel. To be honest, when I heard about your side mission, I panicked a bit. Rebel didn't mean anything else, but it meant that the Luo family wasn't a good person this time. Although she didn't know what this world was like, there was a bit of uneasiness that slowly filled her heart. Currently importing memories. Please accept host. When she received the memories of the previous host, her fingers trembled a bit, because the male lead of this world was personally killed by the previous host. In the Republic of China world, there were Japanese invaders everywhere, and Ning City hadn't fallen yet. The previous host had grown up in a foreign country and went to a foreign school, which was a very amazing thing at that time. The reason why Ning City did not fall was because of the Luo clan and the Zhou clan. Although they were old enemies, they had the same idea of fighting against the Japanese. However, the real enemy was hidden very deeply. After the original owner returned to the country, she ate in a tavern, but she never thought that she and her classmates would become the hostages of the traitors. That was the first time she had seen the male lead, and the moment she felt suffocated, she knew. When she was 18, she had the first person she liked, Zhuanmu Ran. He was the commander-in-chief of the new army in the early years of the Republic. His eyes were very cold, and there was almost no trace of warmth on his face. The moment he raised his gun, the original owner closed his eyes. The bullet flew past her hair without hurting her at all. Her classmate fainted, but she stood there in a daze, her heart pounding. After the previous host returned home, she kept asking about Zhuomu Ran. He was the cold and ruthless commander that everyone spoke of, with very accurate marksmanship and an extraordinary aura. Some people would walk into a person's life in such a way without rhyme or reason. He didn't know what kind of mark his appearance had left in her heart. Chapter 701. The war on the front lines was urgent, and the male lead spent most of his time planning to attack the Japanese. In his eyes, protecting the country was the only thing he had to do in his life. There were no love affairs in his life. But in an emergency mission, the previous host actually spent money to switch identities with one of the soldiers to get close to him, going to the battlefield with him. The previous host was a hot-blooded youth. After studying in a Western school for so many years, her first wish was to defeat the Japanese and protect the country. However, that battle was very dangerous. A grenade exploded beside her, and her head buzzed before she couldn't hear anything. When she opened her eyes again, there was the male lead beside her. He knew her identity, but he didn't know why she was here. The previous host seriously confessed, telling him every bit of her love for him over the past year. The male lead was silent. Because they were still in a dangerous area, he picked up the AK-47 in his hand and gave it to the previous host. Defend yourself. Zhuomu Ran never would have thought that the gun he gave the previous host would end his life in the end. He was very powerful. Although there were many enemies, he still cleverly brought her out of danger. They safely returned to Ning City. When the previous host thought that she could confess this matter to her elders, the previous host was caught. In the middle of the night, she was brought to the Zhuo Manor. When she saw him, she was very excited. She really didn't guess wrong. The youth she liked for so long had finally blossomed. She never thought that the male lead would coldly say, "Watch her, don't let her take a single step out of the secret room." The previous host didn't understand why, but when the maid leaked it the next day, she knew that Zhuomu Ran had used a grenade to blow up the Luo Manor. When she arrived, the Luo Manor was already in ruins. The corpses had been blown to pieces, and she didn't know who was who at all. In the next second, she blacked out and lost all consciousness. When she opened her eyes again, she was still in the Zhuo Manor. The male lead had brought her back and told her that he had killed her entire family. The previous host asked why, but he only said that it was a personal grudge. Actually, the previous host didn't know that the Luo family was a traitor, but Luo Gong loved his daughter too much, so he sent her abroad to study since she was young, letting her stay away from everything. The male lead's older brother was killed by Luo Gong during a mission. He, who had never failed, actually died in the Japanese's mansion. Later, the male lead also relied on intermittent clues to suspect that the Luo family was a traitor. After repeated investigations, the evidence was finally confirmed. However, the extermination of the Luo family was an order from the higher-ups. He was just a young marshal who was not carrying it out. The reason why he blew up the Luo residence was so that no one would be able to find her body. At the very least, he could save her life. However, the host didn't know this. The hatred in her heart had overshadowed all her love. She asked him more than once why, but he didn't answer her. How would a hot-blooded girl feel if she knew that her whole family was traitors? It wasn't until the original owner pointed it at him that he felt a little regret. He wasn't afraid of death, but he didn't know who could protect her after he died. Just as she was about to tell him everything, the girl who had liked her for 3 years had already pulled the trigger. It was a very accurate shot to the heart. At that moment, the original owner panicked, because deep down in her heart, she was unwilling to pull the trigger. Chapter 702. The adjutant quickly came over to see the male lead's corpse and couldn't help telling the previous host everything. The previous host knew that she had killed someone who was desperately trying to protect her. She could only blame the male lead for being too considerate of her, resulting in this tragic ending. In the end, the previous host held the male lead's corpse and raised the pistol he had given her. She aimed it at his head with a decisive pong sound. After organizing the previous host's memories, Luo Qingshan was completely attracted by the male and female lead story. The supporting male and female lead were truly the supporting male and female lead. The supporting female lead was a gunner under the male lead, and the supporting male was the previous host's fiancé. There were many small conflicts, but compared to the previous host and male lead story, they were too small. Now, time returned to 3 years ago. Although the front lines were still tense, it wasn't to the point where Ning's city had fallen. She was wearing a blue shirt and a black skirt, having just returned from abroad. Location: Frontline Battlefield Center. My God! Luo Qingchun bit her lip and muttered, "System, you really are ruthless. You can't completely blame the system for this." The system silently said that it was being wronged. "Stop wasting words. Give me a gun in exchange for a shooting skill." Ding! 500 exchange points has been taken. Successfully exchanged for a shooting skill. Ding! 500 exchange points has been taken. Successfully exchanged for a revolver and 50 bullets. Luo Qingchun took out the gun the system gave her from her military uniform and squatted down beside a large rock. She should be at the back of the group, and the Japanese should have been suppressed by Zhuomu Ran. The male lead shouldn't have known the previous host yet at this time. AI, it feels like this affection, 0%. I know. The trash system doesn't need to remind me. Luo Qingchun slightly knit her brows. She tried hard to remember what she was doing at this time, but she couldn't remember at all. Pong! There was a large sound that rang out in her ears. This is bad. It was a grenade. She narrowed her eyes and looked at the people not far away. Her heart trembled as she muttered, "It's the Japanese." She was hiding in a blind spot, so unless the grenade was thrown here, they shouldn't have noticed her. The Japanese said a bunch of nonsense in Japanese that she couldn't understand, so she could only ask for help from the system she had just insulted. "Quick, stop acting." Ding! 500 exchange points has been taken. Successfully exchanged for a Japanese listening and speaking skill. The system was angry, but this wasn't the time to argue with the host. There was no time to think. She immediately picked up the walkie-talkie next to her pants and said, "There are enemy troops at Lighthouse 741 behind us." A second later, the adjutant's voice sounded over the walkie-talkie. "Japanese invaders? Don't read the number when reporting. What are you chanting for?" Luo Qingchun anxiously pursed her lips. "Quickly come back, or you'll die." In such an urgent situation, Luo, why read the number? The adjutant says and didn't care. After all, it was very likely that the Japanese had taken their brother's walkie-talkies and released the wrong information. But Zhuomu Ran picked up the walkie-talkie and said in a cold voice, "How many people do they have?" Luo Qingchun narrowed her eyes and said, "There should be around 150 people." Chapter 703. Luo Qingchun took a deep breath and took 2 steps back towards the hole behind her. There was a strong smell of gunpowder in the air that filled every cell in her body. 15 minutes later, there was a giant explosion that came from where she was. She bit her lip and thought, they should have met already. After thinking about it, she slowly walked towards the center of the battle. After all, if the male lead was gone, it really would be over before it even started. After walking for a while, she could vaguely see the 2 teams fighting. Because Zhuomu Ran's group had received the information from her, they had prepared a good defense at the sand dune. She relaxed, and when she was about to crawl towards the sand dune, an accident happened. Pong, pong. 2 gunshots came from close by. She knit her brows and immediately turned, looking for the closest thing to cover herself. Zhuomu Ran, not far away, narrowed his eyes and vaguely saw her figure in the smoke. He knit his brows, but his adjutant, Su Zhengliang, stopped him. "Commander, the Japanese have already found her position. We can't take this risk." Jin Wendan on the side said, "Zhengliang is right. It's too dangerous." Zhuomu Ran knit his brows as he felt a strange uneasiness in his heart. He couldn't tell why he had this feeling. Pong, 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 pong. The sounds of gunshots kept ringing in her ears. The bullets passed by her left and right as danger slowly approached. She had 2 paths to choose from. 1. Exchange for teleportation and leave. 2. Use her powerful shooting skills to show off. She knew that Zhuomu Ran was looking at her, then she definitely had to show off. That was her style. Luo Qingqian's ears twitched. She picked up the revolver in her hand and quickly fired 2 shots in the direction of the gunshots. Pum pum. The 2 people closest to her fell to the ground. Her eyebrows moved slightly, and the corners of her mouth curved into an extremely faint smile. Zhuomu Rant's group at the dune was stunned. Jean Wendan muttered in disbelief, "How is this possible? Why did she just turn around? She shouldn't have." Su Zhengliang slowly put down the binoculars. Such accurate shooting. Zhuomu Rant's cold eyes revealed a look of admiration, but his brows were tightly knit, because there were already more than 10 people slowly pressing towards her. He narrowed his eyes and said, "Get ready. Cover them together." Because there is a certain distance between the hill and Luo Qingqian's location. Even if he fired, he might not be able to hit her, but he could still cover her. The next second, she pursed her lips into a smile and murmured softly, "Thank you, young Marshal Mu. Kill him for me, Japanese." The Japanese leader said in broken Japanese. His voice seemed to be coming from somewhere not far away. Luo Qingqian's eyes were cold, and 48 bullets were ready. Bang, 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 bang. The sound of bullets raining down instantly rang in their ears. Every shot of hers hit the heart of the enemy without any deviation. Zhuomu Rant's army covered her very well. The smoke blocked the enemy's line of sight, allowing her to quickly take care of the enemy. "God!" Su Zhengliang looked through the binoculars and called out in shock. He looked at Zhuomu Ran in disbelief and said, "Young Marshal, her shooting skills are too accurate." Jean Wendan on the side heard this and said in an unwilling voice, "Such a strong cover. Anyone with a bit of shooting skills can do this." Chapter 704. Jean Wendan wasn't convinced since she was a top marksman in the army. Now that she was in front of Zhuomu Ran, who she loved, she was hearing him give such a high evaluation to this strange person. Her heart was very uncomfortable. She pursed her lips and said, "If I had the young commander's protection, I could have done it as well. As a marksman, can't you see it?" Zhuomu Ran checked his gun as he said, "Each bullet hit the enemy's heart." As soon as his voice fell, he walked along the sand dune towards Luo Qingqian. "Young commander," Su Zhengliang called out to him, "I'll go save her. Young commander should stay here." After following Zhuomu Ran for so many years, naturally he knew what he was thinking. He admired this brother quite a bit. "No need. You can take care of the rest of the Japanese." They had the advantage in numbers just now, but now. His dark eyes sunk as he looked at a certain figure in the smoke. They should be at a disadvantage. Seeing Zhuomu Ran walk away, Jean Wendan slammed the sand dune with an unhappy look. "Who is that person?" "I just checked the walkie-talkie. Number 8878 should be Wang Shou." Su Zhengliang slightly knit his brows, but that person's voice just now clearly wasn't Wang Shou. After all, she was wearing a blue shirt and a black dress. She wasn't wearing a military uniform. Luo Qingqian was a bit nervous at this time. Normally speaking, the Japanese would shoot first. If the shooting didn't succeed, they would use grenades next. After acting cool, her life came first. When Luo Qingqian was about to exchange for teleportation, a figure quickly passed through the rain of bullets and appeared by her side with a perfect flip. When Luo Qingqian picked up the gun, there was a cool hand that firmly held her. She narrowed her eyes and looked at the person in front of her. Memories kept coming and her heart didn't beat fast. This was the truest feeling in the heart of the previous host. "You!" Luo Qingqian bit her lip and said, "Zhuomu Ran." His eyes were slightly cold as he narrowed his eyes to look at Luo Qingqian in front of him. She was wearing a blue shirt and a black skirt, and her hair was combed into a ladle-like hairstyle. On the surface, he looked innocent and harmless, completely unlike the person who had excellent marksmanship just now. "I'll cover you. You run in the direction of the sand dune." His voice was cold, and every word seemed to be in order. Luo Qingqian was stunned. She crossed her arms and looked at him. "I'll cover you." Tension, killing, smoke, battlefield. Under such circumstances, she had already said this to young Marshal Mu so casually. No matter how calm Zhuomu Ran was, his fingers couldn't help trembling. Throw grenade, Japanese. The Japanese leader knew that he had underestimated the enemy. Originally, if a student appeared on the battlefield, a few bullets would be enough to kill him. However, he had never thought that in just a few minutes, not only had he lost dozens of people, but he had also come out unscathed. Oh no! Luo Qingxun bit her lips and looked at the cliff behind her. Her heart skipped a beat. There were many valleys and cliffs in the battlefield, and Ning City was located in the mountains, so it was easy to defend. Foreign students really are different. You're good at Japanese, and your marksmanship is very accurate. It was like he had guessed her identity, as a faint Li Guang appeared in his eyes. This was taunting on the surface, but it was actually admiration. Chapter 705. Luo Qingxun's heart skipped a beat. If it wasn't for the fact that Zhuangmu Ran didn't appear, she would have already teleported back to her room. Was he really here to save her? It's too late. Her voice trembled a bit since grenades weren't a joke. If they couldn't dodge it, they would lose their lives. The next second, the Japanese threw a grenade on the road leading to the sand dune. They had no other choice. In an instant, Zhuangmu ran beside her, grabbed her hand, and fired while running for cover behind them. Su Zhengliang saw this and immediately said, "Cover the commander. Attack the Japanese with all your strength." Yes. The soldiers in front gave an impassioned cry. Luo Qingxun only had a single bullet left in her gun, and she didn't dare use it. She could only be protected by Zhuangmu Ran beside her, using the stumps as obstacles as they ran. When Zhuangmu Ran stopped in front of the cliff, there was a GG sound under his feet. The ones chasing them were the main force of the Japanese, including the leader of the Japanese that attacked in Ning City. You can't run anymore. The leader looked at Zhuangmu Ran in broken Chinese. As long as you die, and Ning City will be ours. Loliqing people, you bunch of trash. You can only be slaves at the feet of our emperor. Luo Qingxun narrowed her eyes as she looked at the people in front of her. Adding in the leader, there were a total of 5 people, and Zhuangmu Ran had killed over 10 of them. This leader was quite persistent. It seemed like Zhuangmu Ran really was a big problem for the Japanese. Luo Qingxun looked at Zhuangmu Ran beside her. His expression was indifferent, and she couldn't tell if he was happy or angry. He had a gun in one hand, and the other hand pulled her behind him. His cold-as-water voice sounded in her ear. "There's no more bullets. You have to jump if I say jump. There is a river under this cliff. We can only take a gamble." He knew that he would be injured if he jumped down, and he might not even be able to jump down. After all, no matter how fast he was, it was impossible for him to be faster than a bullet. There was nothing around him, so he could only use himself as a shield to let Luo Qingxun jump behind him. What? Luo Qingxun took a deep breath. "There's no more bullets. Kill them all. Japanese, jump." Zhuangmu Ran pushed her, and her mind went blank. In the blink of an eye, she turned and stood in front of Zhuangmu Ran. He raised his right hand and fired the last bullet in the revolver. Then, he headed straight for the Japanese leader. Bang! It hit him right in the head. At the same time, 2 bullets hit her steadily. One grazed her shoulder, and the other pierced her abdomen. In the next second, she closed her eyes and chanted in her heart, "Time and space freeze." Ding! 500 exchange points has been taken. Successfully exchanged for the space and time freeze, one-time use. Her face was a little pale, but her heart was filled with excitement. If it wasn't for the fact that she had to kill this leader, she could have used space-time freeze in advance and wouldn't have gotten injured. The host is so brave. Does the host not feel pain? The system saluted the host with a look of admiration. Have you heard of this saying? What is it? Those who offend China will be punished no matter how far away they are. If this leader didn't die and something happened to Zhuangmu Ran, and Ning City would be lost. Now that the Luo clan was a traitor, they would definitely open the city gates. The situation was far worse than she had imagined. Because she was in the space-time freeze dimension, she didn't bleed and didn't feel any pain. She was just a bit weak since the bullet had pierced her. Chapter 706. After 3 seconds, the space and time freeze ended. When she fell, there was a strong pain that came. Feeling that everything was about to turn black, she called her system again. "Give me a spirit-cleansing pill." Ding! 500 exchange points has been taken. Successfully exchanged for one spirit cleansing pill. She had given this thing to Chu Nanxian before. It was something that could strengthen one's willpower. Zhumu Ran was stunned as a confused look flashed in his eyes, but he still caught her when she fell into the water. In that instant, blood spread through the river. This is bad. Although her willpower was clear, she could feel her heart beating very fast. This was a reaction to losing a large amount of blood. Zhumu Ran narrowed his cold eyes and quickly picked her up from the river, heading to a certain cave. Stop the bleeding first. He took off his coat, and there was a faint tremble in his cold voice. Luo Qingshan could hear it, but there was something she didn't understand. Wasn't Zhumu Ran the male lead? She helped him kill the Japanese leader and blocked 2 bullets. What about the affection? Zhumu Ran moved very quickly. When the fire burned her wound, she felt that the pain that reached her heart was enough to suffocate her. She reached out to grab his collar and said with a face as pale as snow, "Big brother, shouldn't you say thank you to me?" His eyes froze, and a different kind of emotion rose in his heart. Fast breathing, restless heartbeat, and a blank mind. When he saw her clear as water eyes and her face without any blood, his fingers trembled. Ding! Affection has increased by 1. Mission completion rate is 1%. System, are you certain you aren't broken? The system really isn't broken. What kind of male lead was this? This handsome and amazing, but it was only 1%. Why didn't he ascend to the heavens? She immediately let go of his collar and said, "There's no need. I don't want it." Mississippi. Zhumu Ran looked down as he helped her take care of her wound. "I'm not good with words. Thank you for killing Hitoda. Thank you for saving." He didn't know how to express his feelings at this moment. How could a person who had been shot in the abdomen be able to endure the pain and ask him to thank him with a face as pale as snow? "I just want to say thank you. That's all." She had taken a bullet for him. How could he just thank her so easily? No need, no need. She cut Zhumu Ran off. No need. He might as well not give it to her at all. This kind of insulting favorability. Sorry. There was a gentle look in Zhumu Ran's eyes as he looked at her. "I won't let you die." The bleeding had stopped, but it was still a gunshot wound. If he was infected, his life would be in danger. He was very clear about this, and so was Luo Qingshan. Not to mention that the effects of a spirit cleansing pill would keep weakening, so she had to find a way to send Zhumu Ran away. According to the current situation, I'm afraid it will be very difficult. Luo Qingshan looked at Zhumu Ran beside her with a frustrated look. That Japanese leader is dead. The Japanese army will definitely be dissatisfied. Adding in the fact that you fell off the cliff, they will definitely use this chance to attack Ning City. His body froze as he stared at her, unable to take his eyes off her. Chapter 707. This isn't something you need to consider. Zhumu Ran looked at her blood-soaked clothes and couldn't help looking away. Relax. Using me to exchange for Ning City. Luo Qingshan looked at him with eyes as bright as stars. So I'm this important in Sir Young Commander's eyes. To be honest, Luo Qingshan was just teasing him when she said this. She never thought that it would add any affection. Facts proved that her thoughts were right. Zhumu Ran knit his brows. He wanted to say something, but he never spoke. He lived for the sake of protecting his country, and now it was very likely that Ning City would be in a state of panic because of his disappearance. The chances of losing would greatly increase. But he couldn't throw away the person in front of him, as a strong voice in his heart shouted at him. He couldn't do it. Seeing that he didn't speak, Luo Qingshan gave a chuckle and said in a calm voice, "You can't climb up with me. Even if there is an easier path, I can't take it." She thought. Right now in his eyes, she should be a heroine sacrificing herself for her country. But her inner OS was, "Quickly go. This treasure has lost a lot of blood. I want to teleport home." After a while, his cool voice slowly sounded, "I've made this decision countless times before. For the lives of more people, in order to protect the city, he had to sacrifice the lives of his brothers. He had always been decisive before. Although it was hard, it was in front of the lives of more people. Even if he had to die, he was willing to give his life. He was a soldier. This was a belief this was a responsibility. But, he continued, this time, I can't do it. He couldn't abandon a girl he had met for the first time, and he couldn't do it like that. Was it because her marksmanship had attracted his attention, or was it because she had taken the life of the enemy leader in an instant? Or perhaps it was because she had taken 2 bullets for him. No matter what, this was the first time he felt something that people called a bond in his heart. The problem is that if you stay here, I will also die. Luo Qingchun looked into his eyes, and her eyes trembled as she said, come back quickly. I'll wait for you here. He knew that when she said that she would die, Zhumu Ran was shaken, because he knew in his heart that him staying here wouldn't help her at all. She didn't know how long passed. She just knew that he looked at her with a deep gaze the entire time. After a while, his ice-cold eyes gradually dimmed, and his cool voice slowly said, you will wait for me to come back, right? She would probably never know how flustered he was at this moment. He had to admit that he was very afraid. Luo Mu ran Zhumu's expression as she looked at him with a faint smile on her face. If I'm still alive, will you repay me for saving your life? You'll definitely be alive. He answered her words almost instantly. His thin lips whispered, and this life of mine is yours. He spoke word by word with great seriousness, and it was as if his eyes were flickering with light. Luo Qingchun suddenly didn't feel as frustrated as before. She pursed her lips and said with a soft snort, I don't want your life. What does Miss want as long as Zhumu Ran can do it? There was a sparkle in his deep eyes as he looked at her. I will do my best. Chapter 708. On the steep slope covered in thorns, his mind was filled with the words that the pale-faced girl had said to him. The words, I will devote myself to you, were like a scorching brand that was completely engraved in his heart. The thorns under his feet cut through his skin, but they couldn't stop him from moving forward at all. He had to be fast. He had to be fast. At the same time, Luo Qingchun was having a sad conversation with the system in the cave. System, I don't understand. I've done such a great thing. Why is there only 1% affection? Is his heart made of stone? Is he a steel tree? The host only has the previous host's memories and doesn't know that the male lead doesn't like the previous host. What does this mean? Are you teasing me? The system isn't teasing the host. The male lead did all those things to protect the previous host because the previous host had the same personality as his little sister. God, an old steel tree that won't bloom. The wound hurts so much. I want to go home. Ding, 500 exchange points has been taken. Successfully exchanged for teleportation. After returning to the Luo Manor, it was her 3rd brother who found her. The family didn't ask for the reason in a rush and found the best doctor in Ning City to take care of her wound. Young Miss Luo doesn't have a bullet in her body. Although stopping the bleeding is painful, it is the best method in the wild. The doctor continued to say to Luo Gong, if Mr. Luo is still worried, you can take young Miss Luo to the Western Hospital for a thorough examination. No need. She waved her hand as she laid on the bed. Relax, Dad. It's fine. The effects of the spirit cleansing pill had already disappeared, and the pain from the wound was slowly eroding her thoughts. She laid on the bed in a daze for an unknown amount of time, and when she opened her eyes again, she felt a bit of strength return to her body. Young miss, you're finally awake. Xiaoyan quickly gave her a cup of hot water. Drink some water first. I'll do it myself. She took the water and asked, how long have I been asleep for? Around 3 days. Xiaoyan said with an excited face, I'll tell the old master now. Wait. Luo Qingchun stopped her and said with a faint smile, aren't you going to introduce yourself? She was the little girl that the original owner trusted the most. Later, in a gunfight, she died protecting the original owner. To put it bluntly, she was shot to death by Jean Wendan. She was a very well-behaved girl, but her ending was very tragic. I don't have a name. She pursed her lips and said, Master said that I am the 7th servant to enter the Luo residence this year, so he called me Little Seven. My mother used to call me Doggy. Luo Qingchun shrugged her shoulders and said with a chuckle, and how about you be called Little Yin from now on? Cute, soft, easy to push down. Since she was reborn, she also needed to protect this person who died for her in another parallel universe. But right now, the first thing she needed to do was to complete the side mission. After experiencing so many planes in the past, the original owner's identity and family were all decent. Now that a traitor had suddenly appeared, she was also very desperate. Okay? System, were the Luo clan traitors from the start? Or did they become traitors because of some unforeseen event? An unforeseen event happened midway. Tell me about it. 4 years ago, the Japanese Mr. Kuchi captured the original owner's grandmother, which is Luo Gong's mother, as well as the original owner's second brother's twin sons. Chapter 709. No, they're still alive. Luo Gong is a foolish filial person. The two twin grandsons aren't enough for him to turn traitor, but his mother can make him do anything. Where are they locked up? The place where the male lead's big brother died. The Japanese Mr. Kuchi's manor. Luo Qingshan learned from the system that Mr. Kuchi was a very powerful and smart person in Japan. Thinking about it, if he wasn't smart, how could Luo Gong be controlled by him? Right? She also learned something from his system. Mr. Kuchi was addicted to gambling and had never lost since he was born. Moreover, everyone could bet with him. There are all kinds of bets. But Mr. Kuchi only accepted life bets and didn't see anything else. The system can also tell the host something else. Speak. The Luo family and the Zhou family have a cooperation this afternoon. Luo Gong will tell Zhumu Ran's big brother Zhuqi Yu to trap Mr. Kuchi. As long as he has the Kuchi Manor's pass token, he can enter. You mean that the Zhou family doesn't know that the Luo family is a traitor and Zhuqi Yu died like this? Yes. According to the memories of the previous host, Zhumu Ran began to suspect the Luo family because of Zhuqi Yu's death, so the timing was right. She definitely couldn't let Zhuqi Yu go to Kuchi Manor. The Japanese manors were all rented, and if there was no spy, they would definitely die without a complete corpse. Zhuqi Yu had his head cut off, and his corpse was left at the entrance of the Zhuo Manor. I'm going out, don't tell the old master. Luo Qingshan changed into a pink coat, put on the most popular hat, and a pair of large sunglasses as she ran towards the Zhuo Manor. Xiao Yunyun shouted behind her, but she pretended not to hear. After all, she didn't have much time left. The Zhuo Manor was heavily guarded, so it wasn't easy to get in. But she had the Luo family's young miss token, so most of the sentries recognized this token. I'm looking for Zhuqi Yu. I'll have to trouble you. Luo Qingshan gave the token to one of the sentries. This is a secret of the Japanese. Please go quickly. The sentries took the token and said, All right, young Miss Luo, please wait. She didn't look too good, and the pain from her wound kept coming. After all, it was a gunshot wound. It was not something that could be healed by lying in bed for 2 or 3 days. The next second, she shook her head slightly and tried to stay awake. After a while, the sentinel came out and respectfully bowed to her. Miss Luo, please come in. At the same time, Zhumu Ran, who had just led his soldiers back from the cliff, narrowed his eyes. Seeing the person in the pink coat at his door, his heart couldn't help trembling. Why did her back look so familiar? Impossible. His originally deathly, still eyes were instantly suffused with a wisp of light. However, he couldn't believe that he had rejected the idea. When he returned to Ning City, he took care of the Japanese as quickly as possible. Although their cannons were under the city, when they saw Zhumu Ran, they still decided to retreat. And Ning City was easy to defend and hard to attack. If Zhumu Ran was here, their chances of winning would be too low. Moreover, their leader had been beaten to death. As soon as the Japanese troops retreated, he rushed to the bottom of the cliff with the military doctor and his bodyguards as fast as possible. But her voice was nowhere to be seen. There were no footsteps in the muddy swamp. Chapter 710. Zhumu Ran walked forward and asked the guard at the door, Who was that person just now? Reporting to the commander, It's the Luo Manor's young Miss Luo. The guard gave a salute as he spoke. The Luo Manor has a young miss? Zhumu Ran knit his brows. Although he didn't know much about the Luo Manor, he only knew that they were on par with the Zhuo Manor in terms of money and influence. This subordinate doesn't know. The guard continued, but Sir Chiyu had the brothers bring her in after seeing the sign. Understood. Zhumu Ran knit his brows and quickly walked in. At the same time, in Zhuqiu's office, Zhuqiu was wearing a black suit with white skin and a handsome face, giving people a quiet and gentle feeling. "Hello. I wonder if Sir Luo had you find me, because there's been a change in the plan." Zhuqiu looked at the clock on the wall as he asked this. Luo Qingshan locked the door before turning to Zhuqiu. "I know that you're going to rent Kuchi's manor, but there's been a change in the plan. My father wants me to go in your place." "You." Zhuqiu immediately rejected her. "No, it's too dangerous. If it wasn't for the prestige of the Luo Manor in Ning City and the connections he had built from fighting the Japanese, even he wouldn't dare go to Kuchi's manor alone. My father naturally won't send me to my death." She said, "Only I can do this. If you're not assured, you can meet me outside the Kair Tavern." "Meet you outside the Kair Tavern?" Zhuqiu knit his brows in confusion. "What use is that? If something happens to you, I can't save you." God, such a stubborn person. In short, Luo Qingshan spread her hands as she looked at him. "Just treat it as if I don't want you to die." "Die? Wrong word." Luo Qingshan said. Take a risk. Take a risk. Just treat it as if I didn't want you to take risks in the past." Actually, she was very angry right now. She was seriously saving his life. Why was this person so stubborn? "Miss Luo." Zhuqiu's cheeks blushed slightly. This feeling was rather strange. "What are you doing?" Luo Qingshan waved her hand and said, "Give me the sign." After all, she wouldn't have been able to see Kuchi without that sign. This is my father's idea. I hope Mr. Zhuo won't be too stubborn." Luo Qingshan said with a touch of anger in her eyes. "After all, you're only helping the Luo family. Can you really kill Kuchi?" Zhuqiu hesitated for 10 seconds and finally took out the token from his pocket and gave it to her. Luo Qingshan chuckled and took the token. "I'm not sure, but I can guarantee that I won't die." Knock, knock, knock. After a series of knocks, a familiar voice sounded. There was a touch of coldness in his voice. "Brother, are you there?" "Commander Zhua, let me introduce you." Zhuqiu looked at the clock and said, "But it seems like there isn't much time left. Then let's not introduce ourselves." Luo Qingshan put her hands in her pockets and uneasily clenched her fists. She definitely couldn't reveal any clues. Otherwise, the person who said he wanted to repay her would definitely follow her. Zhuqiu came forward and slowly opened the door as he said to Zhumu Ran, "Let me introduce you to an honored guest." Chapter 711. Luo Qingshan's eyes sparkled as she looked at him and said, "Hello, Commander Zhua. I've long heard of you." Zhumu Ran was surprised. Looking at Luo Qingshan in front of him, he slightly knit his brows. Her face was still a bit pale, and there was a bit of Li Guang in her clear eyes, making people's hearts skip a beat. There were many questions that kept flashing in his mind, but he couldn't figure it out no matter what. How did she come back with such heavy injuries? Why did she appear in their house in just a few days? The most important thing was, why did she come to their house? She wasn't looking for him. "Muran, what is it?" Zhuqiu saw that he didn't speak and felt that something was wrong with him. Why did he keep staring at this girl? Zhumu Ran suddenly reacted, and his cold eyes trembled as he said, "Did young Miss Luo come to the Zhuo Manor for something?" Luo Qingshan felt her hands in her pocket keep sweating, and even her breathing became a bit faster. She gave a soft laugh to cover her nervousness as she looked at Zhumu Ran and said, "I've already told Mr. Qiyu everything. Time is short, so I won't stay any longer." As soon as her voice fell, she gave a slight nod and walked out the door. But she didn't know that when she passed by him, Zhumu Ran would take her wrist, and the touch of the pink coat would soften his heart. He tightly knit his brows as he looked at her and said, "You're this heavily injured. I'll go for you." Without knowing why, he felt his heart was in a panic, and he couldn't even form a sentence. But he still wanted to say, "Know each other?" Zhuqiu heard this and asked them in a confused voice. "We've met once." Luo Qingshan looked at the clock before looking at Zhumu Ran with her right hand. "Goodbye." He was a bit surprised and didn't take a wrist again. It was just because of this met once, it turned out that in her eyes, she had only taken 2 bullets for him once. What was this? After Luo Qingshan left, Zhuqiu picked up the coffee on the table and took a sip. There's something wrong with Commander Zhua today. Where did she go? Zhuamu Ran wasn't in the mood to listen to his teasing at all, directly getting to the main topic. Kuchi's mansion. Zhuaqiu put down the coffee and said with a serious expression, "Originally, I promised Luo Gong to cooperate with them, but Miss Luo said that she would go in my place." What? Zhuamu Ran tightly knit his brows. What kind of place is renting, and what kind of person Koi is, we all know. She has a gunshot wound on her body, and you actually let her replace you. This was the first time he had been so angry at his brother. In other words, this was the first time he had been so agitated in recent years. Gunshot wound? Zhuaqiu's heart skipped a beat. I don't know. She only said that she didn't want to take risks. She said she was confident. Big brother. Zhuamu Ran said with a sigh. She was the one who killed Junta. What? The person I've been looking for under the cliff for the past few days is also her. Zhuamu Ran closed his eyes and took a deep breath. I never thought that she would be back already. She was this heavily injured. How did she come back? He suddenly regretted leaving her alone. He had believed her words and came back to guard in Ning City alone.